Hello, hello, beautiful people. Welcome to the Sideline Speaks with myself, Brittany Jones, alongside Jason Collins and Kevin Walker. What's going on, K Walker and Jay?
All's well, all's well. Looking forward to another great one.
Yeah, everything's good. Excited. We got a lot of football to talk about tonight, so it's going to be a good show.
Y'all sure enough is cheery after this weekend.
I'm
Because
good.
not one, not two, but all three of our daggone teams done messed up. Good
All
thing
right,
it's
Brett.
week
So this
two.
week
Good thing
two,
it's
Brett.
week two.
Mhm.
Uh, but hopefully things definitely got to improve. But anyway, before we get started, please, those who are watching us, I would greatly appreciate it if you can please subscribe, like, and share our YouTube channel. We would greatly appreciate it. We are slowly but surely growing, so we would appreciate all the support that we're able to obtain. And of course, we always gotta shout out Miss Sandra T. What's going on,
Sandy,
Sandra?
Andy and Sean, what's going on? We
you
appreciate
guys,
you guys.
appreciate you guys as always.
Shows up on time every week. I love it. I love the
Uh,
support. I love the support. But also, we are also on Twitter, formerly or X, formerly known as Twitter at Sideline Speaks, or anywhere you can listen to your podcast. You guys ready to get sports talk this
I
this
guess
started?
so.
You see how I'm
I guess
stuttering?
so.
let's do it. All
That
right,
was
Brett.
that was me
All right,
yesterday.
Brett. Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. All right, so where do we want to get started at? Do we want to get started on our teams? Do we want to get started on some other teams? Y'all ready? Which one? Y'all? I'm gonna let y'all choose on this one.
Man, I
Cool,
think
Brett.
America's team is always an appropriate place to start. But you decide, Britt. You decide
Oh,
how you want
oh,
to
after
do this.
after that performance, you want to? Oh, okay. Well, let's. You know what? No, we're
Yeah,
not
like,
gonna
get it
start
out the way.
there. I'm not. I'm not gonna let any America's team can try to control this show. No, I'm just kidding. I want to start with the Ravens. I want to start with the with the Ravens. So we're gonna do our NFC Week 2 recap later on. I got a couple college football games I want to talk about as well a little later on. WNBA, we got to talk about a little bit what's going on in WNBA. Historic moment occurred. And then we'll get into some week 3 predictions later as well. But as far as the NFL week 2 recap, let's start with the Ravens. I just want to get your thoughts um, on the game, on the overall game. As we know, the Ravens lost to the Raiders 23-26. How do you think they look? Is it time for a change? Jay, I'm going to start with you.
I don't necessarily think it's time for a change, Britt, because I just don't know what change could be made, right? Like they're not going to
Mhm.
change the coach, they're not going to change the quarterback. So I don't know what change you can make. It is like I would say that they're probably the most disappointing team after 2 weeks. I mean, we're talking about a team with Super Bowl aspirations, and right now they're sitting at 0-2. So I think they need to change up something, but I don't know if there's really anything significant that they can do right now. I'm not going to sit here and pretend I saw a ton of that football game because I was locked in on a couple of other games. But I don't
Mhm.
know. Like I think Lamar Jackson, two-time MVP, a guy who most people believe is a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. I don't. I think at some point in these close games, does Lamar need to do more? I'm just
Mhm.
throwing that out there. I didn't see a ton of the game. I don't know exactly what happened, but I guess that what I would say in the clutch is Lamar making the plays that he needs to make to get this team over the hump. And it's just a question because I don't really know for sure. But the only silver lining, Britt, is it's early. It's week
Mhm.
2. They're 0-2. There's a lot of football left to be played. We know this is a good football team. So I would imagine that they're going to get things moving in the right direction in week 3. Now, if you lose 3 in a row, now I think that's a problem. But if they can come out and get a win in week 3, I think everything will be all right in Baltimore.
K Walk, did we overrate Lamar? Because Lamar, we say maybe second best quarterback in the league, put him above, the Joe Burrows and the Josh Allens. But when you look at the last couple games, even going back into that playoff game, did we overrate him just a little bit based off what you've seen his last 3 games, basically?
Well, I'm never going to say we overrated because guys, I'm a Lamar Demetrius Jackson fan, so I'm never going to say we overrate my brother, man. I'm never going to say that. But he is playing. I think that there is a bit of a a psychological thing going on with Lamar and that team. I think
Hmm.
the way they lost in the AFC Championship last year, as you brought up, Britt, and then and the first week and how they lost that game, even though they came. I mean, they came back to tie it up, but they were just, just a toe too long, if you will,
Right.
from possibly tying up that game. So, a psychological edge is there. But when you looked at the game last on Sunday against the Raiders, again, I'm like Jay, I didn't watch a ton of it. I peeked in a little bit here and there when the game started to get close, because at one point they were in full command of that game. They really were. But for some reason or another, again, I can't tell you exactly what went wrong. Did they take their foot off the pedal? Did they, start doing things that they weren't doing earlier in the game to give them that lead? I can't say that for sure. But when you lose 2 in a row and you lose to the Raiders, and nothing to take away from Antonio Pierce and those guys, but on paper, you should beat that team.
Yeah.
You should beat that team. And if you're up on that team the way that they were, then there's no rhyme or reason for that. I don't know if they got tight or just got relaxed. I don't know what it is. But to answer the question, I think Lamar is properly rated. I think at this point, they have a big game against Dallas, so we're going to see. I know we're going to preview that game, but they have to bounce back with the victory. I mean, there's just no ifs, ands, or buts about it, because, like Jay alluded to, 3 in a row is it's hard to come back from that, especially earlier in the season. Now, you obviously, if you want to do 3 in a row, you want to do the first 3 and hopefully you can run the table from there. But it's going to be tough, man. It really is, especially with Dallas coming up and the way that Dallas lost. And, Dallas is going to come back ready to go as well. So, I think he's properly rated. I just think with the changes that are going to have to be made, they just have to close. They have to be consistent for 60 minutes. That's just the bottom line.
Britt, let me say this real quick, because I agree with Cable. I don't know if we've overrated him, but I've always said about Lamar, like I've never liked him as much as K-Walk does, but I like him. I don't think I've been as high on him as K-Walk, but I do think there's some plays that he leaves out on the field. Like, even if you go back to week 1, Kansas City, yes, K-Walk alluded to it, they were a toe too long, or that game's going into overtime. But there were a couple plays right before that where he had some guys wide open and just completely missed them, right? And I just think that those are the kind of plays that, if you're going to put yourself in that elite category of quarterbacks, like, you just can't miss wide open guys that can determine the outcome of the game. And for me, I just think there's been a little bit too much of that happening.
Jay, let me ask you a question. Last year, do you think he was deserving of the MVP? Because a lot of people have called him, just like a Jalen Hurts or those type of quarterbacks, they call him more of running back, which I don't understand that, but they could say they're running backs versus a quarterback. Do you think he was deserving of the MVP last year?
Yeah, I don't want to take the award away from him. Sometimes it's hard to go back and remember, like, all the little fine details of who was in the running and stuff like that. I know he had an outstanding regular season last year, so I do think it's okay I do think he deserved the MVP. The other thing, too, that was positive, because I said this last year, I thought he was too heavy last year. He looked a step slower to me. Like, there were some times I thought he was going to get away, and he didn't. I love the fact that he came in shape. He looks like he's down 10, 15 pounds. So it looks like he did everything right in the offseason. I just think he's got to throw the ball a little bit more consistently.
My next question to you guys pertaining to this, before we get to the next game, is the defense. Do you think, because I'm noticing some struggles a little bit in that linebacking position, do you think they missed Patrick Queen slightly? I know they had the young guy, Simpson, I believe is his name. Do you think is there some slight struggles? Did we overrate Roquan Smith to be this superstar linebacker on a Fred Warner type level, but he's been struggling? Or is it just week 2, let them get their, let's get a little bit more into the season and see where they're at. Anybody can take it.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, anytime you lose a queen, a linebacker like that, his caliber, of course you're going to miss him. Whether you're 0-2 or 2-0, you're going to miss him at some point. But it looks like, everything that they missed, everything they lost last season, everything that Lamar is not doing, and catches aren't being made, throws aren't being made, they're being magnified. They're being magnified because they are 0-2. So we're going to sit there and we're going to dissect every little thing. What's wrong with this team? What's wrong with that team? They're 0-2. Can it be fixed? things of that nature. I just think I think it comes down to a team that is up there. We a lot of people had them going to the Super Bowl or at least going to the AFC Championship, and they have targets on their back, along with a lot of other teams as well. And these other teams want to be in that conversation as well. So I just think it's a matter of them playing better. They have the coaching. We know that with Harbaugh, with Todd Monken and that defense as well. They have all the pieces in the right place. They just have to play better. I just think it comes down to that.
Jay, any thoughts on this or?
No, I agree with K-Walk. I think K-Walk said it all right there.
All right, let's move on to the next one. I see in the comments somebody wants to talk about their Vikings. We're not there yet, so you just gotta wait a little bit.
Is that man down? Is that man down?
No, that's simply ball dropping.
Simply ball dropping. Is that who that was? Okay.
Yeah, because last week
bring him in.
Last week he said the Vikings were gonna, do their thing, and I kind of blew it off. So I knew he'd be back. I knew he'd be back.
We not there yet, but because I want to kind of save our teams and bunch us together a little bit, back to back to back. But the next game I would like to get to, the Bears. They lost to the Texans 13-19, and I know people are like, why are you talking about the Chicago Bears? Of course, there's always a reason, and that reason will be the number one overall pick, and that's in Caleb Williams. After the first couple of games, compared to what we've seen in preseason, very vanilla defenses. They're not going to show you much. It's going to be very simple. I could probably carve up the defenses that are presented in preseason. That's not saying much because I could barely throw a football. I could throw it, but not that well. Are you concerned about Caleb Williams after the first two games? Again, we're only in week 2, but are you concerned? K-Walk, I'm going to start with you on this one.
I'm not concerned because this is what I expected to happen. Because Jay and I have been on this show for I don't know how long, ever since the draft, and we're just not high on this guy. And Jay, I'm even speak for myself. Jay may have changed his tune, but I'm not high on this guy. I was never high on this guy. I didn't see what scouts saw in him. Yeah, he can make some plays. He can throw off his back foot and do that, all that good stuff when he was at USC, and he can get away with that. But I didn't think it was going to translate. I didn't think it was going to transition to the NFL. And it's proven me right for once. I know a broke clock is right twice a day, so I guess I can be right as well at some point. But nonetheless, no, Caleb Williams is what I thought he would be. It's just another quarterback who he has the arm strength. He has the playmaking ability. He could be mobile and things of that nature, extend plays, but he just doesn't have that it factor to me. He just really doesn't. I didn't see it. I don't see it. I don't know if I will see it. I don't know if we will see it, to be perfectly honest with you. So, no, I'm not concerned because this is exactly who I thought he was.
That's interesting because I kind of felt the same way. I was just like, I feel like we're putting this expectation on this kid, and I understand he's outstanding in college, but we've seen a lot of quarterbacks that play great in college but come to the pros, and they're just okay. It could also be the system. I'm not going to, Chicago has their issues, but I wasn't so high on Caleb Williams coming out. But Jay, what are your thoughts on
Yeah, I was with K-Walk. We talked about it. I didn't think his style of play translated very well to the NFL, so he's going to have to figure that part out. We saw him the other night trying to run around a little bit and scramble, and it just doesn't work because everyone on the field is just as fast as he is. So he's going to have to tweak his style of play and fit it a little bit more to the NFL game. But I think, I don't want to get too over the top about rookie quarterbacks in the NFL because very rarely does a rookie come in the league and really set it on fire. Right. Like it just doesn't happen that often. And now there's no patience with these rookies. They put them out there and people just expect them to be good. And it's just not really realistic. So again, I'm not really surprised or concerned. I didn't think he was going to come in the league and really do a whole lot in his rookie year. He's obviously got some good talent to work with. He can throw the football. He's mobile. So he's got some talent, but he's going to have to adjust his style of play or it's not going to work in the NFL.
Let me guys ask you a next question pertaining to Caleb Williams. So I believe it was last year. Um, wide receiver. Ooh, I can't think of his first name right now. Wide receiver Moore with the Chicago Bears. Huh?
DJ Moore.
DJ Moore. Thank you. Yes.
Okay.
He came out because they asked him about Caleb Williams, and said he basically came out and said that he didn't think Caleb Williams or any of these quarterbacks in the draft was better than Justin Fields, and he felt like the Bears should have kept Justin Fields. Do you guys agree or disagree with what you've seen thus far? Again, it's only week 2, but do you guys agree with that or disagree? Anybody
Yeah,
can take it.
I think I said the same thing at the time. I said if I was Chicago, I would have held on to Fields. I thought he showed enough to have more of an opportunity. Both young guys, so it's not like one guy is much older than the other or anything like that. They do a lot of similar things. They're both very mobile. They both have good arms. I don't think you're making a significant upgrade or even an upgrade at all, moving off of Justin Fields for Williams. So I thought keep the guy that's familiar in the system. His teammates were rallying him around him at the end of the year. I think the Bears made a mistake. Now, look, 3, 4, 5 years down the road, it may bear out that Caleb Williams is a fantastic NFL quarterback, but I don't think they'd be any worse for the wear had they held on to Justin Fields.
K-Walk, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I agree with Jay. I mean, I wholeheartedly agree with Jay. And then, Justin Fields just shown that, he can make those big plays. He can make the same plays that Caleb Williams is able to make. And not only that, he had the experience there. He had the chemistry with DJ Moore. You brought him up, and other receivers as well. So when you look at Justin Fields, man, you just look at his ability. Look what he's doing in Pittsburgh right now. He's not setting the world on fire, but what he is doing, he's winning. He's relying on doing the little things. And if you keep them that way and you have a great defense like Pittsburgh does, then you have a chance. But if you look at them and you put Justin Fields in Caleb's situation right now, I mean, I think you'll probably be 2-0, to be perfectly honest with you, because the fact of the matter is because they barely won that first game. If it wasn't for the defense and the special teams, then then they would have lost that game. In that first game with the Bears. But if you put Justin Fields in there, I don't think it would have been that close. I don't think you would have to rely on that block punt and the defense that they played. But yeah, I think you should have kept Justin Fields. He was experienced. He was set there. He had the chemistry with DJ Moore, as I mentioned earlier. So yeah, I thought they should have kept Justin Fields there, man. Because if you look at Chicago's track record with quarterbacks, I'm just going to leave it at that. Just look at that.
That was funny you said that, K-Rock. That was my very next question. Is this an organization issue or is this a player issue? Who because it feels like they keep cycling through quarterbacks constantly, or players, but mainly quarterbacks. Defense has always been fairly good for the most part, and a lot of times they have had some great defenses, right? Is this an organization issue or philosophy with these quarterbacks, or is it that these players just is not right? Anybody can take this.
Definitely.
Yeah, go ahead.
Part of it is definitely on the organization because they just made some bad picks. I mean, they moved up and took Mitch Trubisky when they had an opportunity to get Patrick Mahomes. I mean, so that's definitely on the organization. So they've just made some bad decisions. Now, maybe they get it right this time. Time will tell, but I think the most of the burden has to fall on the organization because they've just made some poor choices.
Okay, Walk, any thoughts?
Yeah, well, to Chicago's defense, Jay, a lot of people missed out on Patrick Mahomes. To be honest,
they did.
But Britt, to answer the question, one of my favorite sayings is, "If it smells like 2-day-old chicken everywhere you go, then it must be you." You know what I mean? So, and I think that's every time every time you have you draft a quarterback and they don't pan out, it's the organization. So I just think that they just can't get it right for whatever reason at this point. And when you look at their organization, the history of their organization, you look at who are arguably the best quarterbacks in the history. Jim McMahon, maybe Jay Cutler you could throw in there, but what's that really saying? And that's it. That's all I can say about that.
It's going to be interesting. We have a whole long season to go with to see how Caleb Williams works out because they have a lot of veterans on this team. It's funny how certain teams get criticized for not utilizing their running back, but I think they need to utilize DeAndre Swift a lot more than what they're doing. And I feel like they're still having some offensive line issues. They can't seem to fix that. But again, it's still early on. We'll see what happens. We have seen things for a lot of teams not start off great in the beginning, and all of a sudden they go on a tear towards the end, or reverse. They start off great and they do horrible towards the end. So we'll see what happens with this young quarterback. They have a veteran type of team, but with a very young quarterback. All right, guys, let's move on to the next game. I'm not getting to the Niners, Eagles, or Cowboys just yet. I'm almost there. Got a couple more games, and then we're going to get there. So those who are like, "Where? Come on, hold on. We got some couple more games we got to get through first." I want to talk about the Cardinals. The Arizona Cardinals put a beat down on I almost said the St. Louis Rams. My goodness, I guess that's how I feel they come back. Right. The Cardinals beat the Los Angeles Rams 41-10. Give me your thoughts on Marvin Harris, the overall game, of course, but Marvin Harrison Jr. Jay, I'm gonna come to you first on this one.
Yeah, I didn't see one play of this game live. I did see the highlights, but coming out of week one, all the talk was, look, you got to get the ball to Marvin Harrison Jr. I think he had 3 catches in week one for not many yards at all. So credit to them for coming out and making that a priority, knowing, look, we got our number 1 draft pick, a guy who has tons of potential at the receiver position. Let's make an effort to get him the football. So I think from that standpoint, it was great. I don't know how excited I want to get about the Cardinals, given the opponent. It wasn't much of a competition, but I will say, hey, when you draft a guy that high, figure out a way to get him the ball, and they did that. So credit to them for getting that part done.
Jay, K-Rob, before I come to you, Jay, what you say is not much of a competition, but Rams were in the playoffs last year, and Cardinals were nowhere near to be found. Granted, Kyler Murray was hurt. They had a couple other players hurt, but Cardinals haven't been around for quite a number of years now. Are you sure it's not that much?
K-Walk, what'd you say about the Rams, the fake John Gruden? Is that what you?
Sean McVay. Yeah.
I don't know, Britt. I don't believe in them this year. I don't know if that ship has sailed on the Rams, but they did not look like a good football team to me. So we'll see how the next few weeks play out. But I'll kind of revise that the competition wasn't great on Sunday. Maybe they weren't ready to play. Maybe they just didn't show up. I don't know what happened, but I'm not so sure I'm ready to put the Cardinals like in this is a really good football team category just yet.
Okay, Walk, I want your thoughts on the game if you caught it, of course, but I have another question for you as well. Did we underestimate Kyler Murray? Do you think we underestimate Kyler Murray based on the way this game went? Or is he still playing the same old way?
Yeah, I'll answer the second question first, Brett, before I get to the game. Yeah, I definitely think it is, because I watched the game because for 2 reasons. One, it was our next opponent, meaning the 49ers. I want to see what the Rams look like, going in and do a little scouting, even though I don't have a say into, the scouting report or anything like that. I just want to, for my own intents and purposes. But nonetheless, I'm watching this game, and it's just nothing but Kyler Murray looking like the little toddler that he is, man. He just looks like he just, he stole his mother's phone, and she's trying to catch him in the backyard, and he's just running away from him, and guys are just getting open. That's what it looks like to me, Kyler Murray. I can't explain. I can't reference it any other way, man. I can't come up with a better explanation or analogy than that with Kyler Murray. But a lot of the catches, and nothing to take away from Marvin Harrison Jr., a lot of those catches were guys were coming up because they thought Kyler Murray was going to scramble for a first down. And we all know, that you shouldn't, as a defensive player, and Jay will test to this, is that you never come up until the ball crosses the line of scrimmage, and a lot of the guys did that. And Marvin Harrison Jr. was getting behind the defense, so that allowed Kyler Murray to buy time and get the ball over top. So what I saw was just a depleted Rams team. They're without Puka Nacua. He's on IR right now. Then they lose Cooper Kupp. He didn't come back after the halftime. So therefore, you lose in Stafford. two of the top receivers in all of football, not just on your team, but in all of football. When you lose two receivers like that, it's really hard to move the ball down the field, up and down the field. And then the Cardinals were just taking advantage of the aggressiveness of the Rams team. And keep in mind, it's not the same Rams defense because Aaron Donald, Aaron Donald is retired, so they don't have that same pass rush either. So I'm looking at these two teams that they're very similar in my opinion on paper, but they just had a better game. Meaning the Cardinals just had a better game on Sunday.
Yeah, it's funny because he definitely looks like a road rat back there. But you made a valid point. It's always interesting to me. I understand if it's 31, 30, 3rd and 2, maybe 3rd and 3. You made a valid point, K. Walker, when you said, why do players run up prior to Kyler Murray running across that line of scrimmage? Because understanding the rules, once you cross that line of scrimmage, you can't go back. You just can't go back.
Especially
and throw
corners
the ball.
and safeties,
Right. You're now established as a runner. So that is always curious. And the Cardinals tend to find themselves in 3rd and long a lot. So I feel like the defense on almost every team they play needs to be more disciplined. If he wants to run back there, let him run back there. And hopefully your front 4, your front 5, maybe a couple linebackers will go and get him. But the other guys, make sure you stick to your man. And I know that always. And I understand things happen. You kind of lose your guy, but don't run up until he crossed that line. Now, it's a little bit harder if it's 3rd and 1 because that line of scrimmage and that first down is right there. So you got to play a little bit closer.
Give him the first down. You don't want to give him the touchdown.
Right. Again, makes sense. All right, guys, I'm being called out right now. Simply ball dropping. So I need to stop stalling. So we're gonna
let's get to it. Give the people what they want, Brent. Give the people what they want.
We're gonna give you what you want. But we're still not going to start with the Vikings just yet because Jay said he wants to start with America's team. So let's start with this so-called losing America's team. I know who you in line with. I just won't say it right now because, people going to kill me, especially since it's political time. I won't say it. But as we know, the Cowboys lost to the Saints. And that was crazy. I won't even say it's a blowout, but we know what it was. 44-19. What were your thoughts on this game? Jay, you're going to go last. K-Walk, give me your thoughts.
Yeah, obviously I didn't expect this outcome. I don't think anyone in their right mind did. I don't care how much of a fan you are of the Saints, and I don't care how much of a hater you are of the Cowboys. No one expected this outcome. But as I'm watching this game, this is one of the games that I have up on one of my TVs, and because it's, in my opinion, it's America's game because it's America's team. As much as I hate to say that and admit that, it is what it is. But I'm watching this game, and every time I look up, I see a big play being made by either Derek Carr or Alvin Kamara. And then I realized, they got Clint Kubiak there as their offensive coordinator. And Clint Kubiak is a former, passing coordinator for the 49ers. So he's familiar with the Cowboys defense. So he understands where their weaknesses lie. And he understands, what you have to do to beat this particular defense. And he did exactly that. He took a page out of what they did the last time the 49ers played the Cowboys. The last 2 times the 49ers played the Cowboys, they had that game plan. They executed to perfection. And they have the weapons. I mean, you get a Derek Carr with a competent coordinator, you're going to have success, especially with the running back like Alvin Kamara, especially with the receiver like I think his name's Shaheed. I forget his name if I'm pronouncing that correctly.
Shaheed.
Shaheed, and then you have Chris Olave as well, and and that defense, and their defense has always been a solid defense as well. So when their offense is clicking the way that it was on Sunday, and then their defense is going to obviously say, listen, they're playing well, we got to match that. We got to match that play, and that's exactly what they did. Now, to do it in Dallas, to do it in AT&T Stadium, that's got to be demoralizing, man. But they did push the Cowboys around. They implemented that Kyle Shanahan. Yes, I said Kyle Shanahan, Mike Shanahan type of offense where it's physical play. They want to play physical football. They want to run zones, off the tackles. And they did exactly what he's doing. That's why he's there, to run that offense. And for them to score 91 points in 2 games is telling you how much of a big difference that Clint Kubiak is.
My question is, you have one person on that defense that wants to be paid as an elite pass rusher. He wants to be up there with the Bosas, with the Watts, with the, the Garretts. And that's Michael Parsons. And as great as a pass rusher he might be, he can line up all across the line. He has serious issues in that run game. He cannot stop the run. I don't know if it's due to size. I don't know if it's due to technique. I'm not exactly sure. But when it comes, any team can basically run at him. And I could guarantee you from here on out, I mean, we've known this for a while now, but teams sometimes never really took the opportunity to attack them in that way, usually because the Cowboys are up. So now you're trying to come from behind. You're just throwing the ball down the field, constantly trying to catch up. Mm-hmm. But when the Cowboys don't score first, or when they're down by a couple of scores, it could be a touchdown on the field goal. Maybe it's 10 points. They tend to struggle the most, mainly on the defensive side of the ball. And I don't know if it was me noticing this, or I don't know if I'm pretty sure you guys noticed it as well. The defense looked a little weak yesterday. I mean, not yesterday. They look weak yesterday too. But so Sunday, the Cowboys defense they didn't look like their mind was into it. I don't know if they came in and said, we got this. I'm not exactly sure what it was, what their mentality was, but it just looked like they were babies trying to go up against grown men, and it just wasn't working. So that's something that they're absolutely going to have to correct, because Alvin Kamara tore through them like nothing. Like, it was literally like he was in practice in the off season, going through the obstacle course. So I was really impressed. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I think I did underrate the Saints. I just wasn't sure. They haven't been healthy, and I don't know how long. We know they lost Michael Thomas, a couple other players. So we just wasn't sure. We wasn't sure we would get the same Derek Carr as from before, when most people were excited. But boy, did they click on Sunday. They clicked. They played very well. I love the offense that they ran. They kept it pretty simple, in my opinion. The offensive line played fantastic. Dallas has some issues, and I'm trying to figure out where they're going to go, because I don't know where Dallas stands. I just don't know. But Jay, this is your so-called team, at least for right now. I know you got another week to figure it out. But this is your so-called team. What are your thoughts on this game?
I really think it's pretty simple. Number one, I agree. Like K-Walk, the Saints were fantastic. That's a good football team, right? Like the Saints they're going to be a really good football team this year. So Dallas lost to a really good team. I want to make sure I give the Saints a lot of credit. But I will say, after about 2 or 3 plays of that game, I texted my brother Phil and I said, what is Micah Parsons doing? He doesn't look like he's ready to play. Because to me, he looked like he was just kind of loafing and mofing around, just kind of lost, going half speed. So that was the first thing. Then about a minute later, I sent another text. I said, none of them look like they're ready to play. So number one, I just don't know if they came into that team with the right attitude and mindset to be in a really tough football game. And that's not an excuse, because the Saints took it to them. But I just thought that Parsons could have brought a little bit more intensity and energy to kind of set the tone for the defense. Right. And Britt, you're right. Like, that's the age-old adage, right? When you've got a fast, quick defender like Parsons, don't try to run away from him. Run it right at him and see if he can play the run. So people have been trying to do that for years against defenders similar to him, and he's going to have to prove that he can stop the run when it's coming right at him. The other thing, as I texted my other brother, Jerry, he put it real simple. He said, Jay, the Cowboys did not play a good football team in week 1, so they looked like they were pretty good. They played a really good football team in week 2, and it showed that Jerry Jones did not do anything to make this team better in the offseason. And I think that's the answer to every question. They didn't make any adjustments. They didn't add anything. They didn't do anything to make the team better. So now you're stuck with that same exact team that you had last year that wasn't good enough. And I think you're going to be in the same exact situation now. You got a team that's not going to be good enough. So I really think that's what it boils down to. They didn't do anything to get better, and they played a really good team, and it showed.
Dak Prescott, $60 million a year, highest paid quarterback in the league. Yes, unfortunately, he is the quarterback. Huh?
Highest paid player.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. Highest
in the history
paid player. Yes, in the history of the NFL. Thank you for correcting me.
No.
I forgot my train of thought. Thanks, K Walk. I was on a
my
roll. But yes, highest paid player in the NFL, highest paid quarterback in the NFL. The last 2 games, does he look like he is the highest paid player? Is this too early to judge him? Is he deserving of that contract? When we look from 1 week within the 2 weeks, anybody can take this.
I'm just going to say, well, the first game, yeah, he looked like it, but then we talked about the depleted Browns. You know, we talked about it last week and how I felt the Browns were a depleted team, but everybody wanted to talk about how good the Cowboys looked, and everyone wanted to write off Deshaun Watson as well. But look who bounced back. You know, look who bounced back and came back with a victory in their second week. But you know. That's what no, he's not going to earn the $60 million in one game. He's not going to earn it in 60 minutes. It's going to take a long period of time. He's going to have to get to the Super Bowl. He's going to have to win the Super Bowl to justify that contract. It's not going to be justified in week 2, regardless if they would have won that game by 44-19 or lost it. He still got a long way to go. We've seen last season 49ers lose 3 in a row. Everybody wanted to write them off. They wound up in the Super Bowl. So a lot of these teams right now are they're looking bad right now because there's parity. There's parity, and a lot of teams are hurt as well. No excuse there, but nonetheless, I think you have to give them time. On Sunday, no. Definitely didn't look like he was worth $600 or $60,000, let alone $60 million. But nonetheless, you gotta let it play out. Out. He's getting paid $60 million a year, not $60 million a game. So let it play out.
So it's let it play out. He's been in the league for this is his 9th season, 10th season. How much longer how much more does he need to show us to even be worth the $60 million? He made it past wait, Jay. Hold on, Jay. I'm not done my question yet.
Go ahead.
Don't make me lose my train of thought. You know how quick I am to lose it. Trying to go back through history. He hasn't made it past the playoffs no more than I believe twice throughout his career. Never made it to the championship. Never made it to the Super Bowl. Jay, I'm coming to you. So with all that, what are your thoughts?
I just think it's hard to judge people by their contract because the money is just so different now. Like the money 5 years ago isn't like the money that it is now. And 5 years from now, when someone's getting 70 million a year, so the money is just with the market and the growth of the league. We could probably take the top 10 highest paid quarterbacks in the league, and we could probably go through all of them and say, hey, is he worth 50 million a year? Is he worth 55? So I don't think Dak has necessarily been the reason why they don't win. I mean, he was 27 for 39, almost 300 yards on Sunday. He's got to stop turning the ball over. He threw 2 interceptions, but he's got to stop doing that. But I don't think Dak is really the reason why they don't win. I mean, they got to play better defense. They got to be able to run the football. Like there's just some other things that they've got to be able to do to help him. But I think his contract is just what the market is paying people right now. And then the next guy like Purdy's going to be up next. He's going to get a ton of money. And people might say, hey, is Purdy really worth that much money? I mean, that's just the nature of the beast right now. But I don't think that's the reason why they haven't won. I just think, football is the total team sport. Like it takes everyone. And if your defense is going to give up that many points, it's going to be really hard to win a football game, no matter how good the quarterback plays.
I do agree with you, but I will say this, and I hate to say this. Purdy has made it to the Super Bowl and an NFC Championship throughout his 3-year career. Much difference than
he has.
than losing in the first round for the majority of your career. So I will say that is the one difference. And yeah, I'm gonna just keep it at that. All right, guys. So who's at fault here with the Cowboys thus far? Who if they can't turn things around now, we're assuming that they will. This is only week 2 again. So And this goes for every single team. I know we sit and we diagnose and we recap a lot what's going on, but this goes for every team. For week 2, things can change. They could look different with just in a couple weeks. Things can start to click a little bit more. First couple weeks are kind of like preseason because a lot of these guys don't play until week 1. And I'm not saying that's an excuse, but that is what it is. And some guys look sluggish right now at this moment. They look tired, they look sluggish, and they still have to adapt.
Second week with no preseason, tired. My bad.
But when it comes to the Cowboys, because this has happened year after year after year after year, who is the main culprit? Is it a Mike McCarthy? Is he the main culprit? I'm taking Jerry Jones out of the equation right now because we can all blame and lean on him. That's most of the time that's who we blame. Is there anybody else outside of Jerry Jones that we could look at and say they have to change? Is it Mike McCarthy with his play calling or with his decision making? Is it I know Mike Zimmer is fairly new, but maybe the defensive schemes. I know this is a random question, so anybody can take it on your thoughts. Is it some of the players or they are responsible? What are your thoughts?
And you said no Jerry Jones. We're taking Jerry Jones out of the equation?
Taking it out because I think all three of us would be like Jerry Jones.
All right, well, I don't have anything to say then, Jay. Go ahead.
Yeah, look, I don't think you can blame McCarthy. Like, I think since he started calling plays, I think he's actually done a pretty good job calling plays. So I don't put the blame at his feet. I just think, like, collectively as a roster, I just don't know how good they are. And Britt, you said, can they turn it around? I'm not so sure they can. Like, they got the Ravens next week. That could easily be a loss. They do have the Giants. You would think they could win, but then they got the Steelers, the Lions, the 49ers, and the Falcons. Like, none of those are going to be easy wins. So, I mean, you could be looking at a team that out of the next 5 games, they might lose 4 out of the next 5 if things don't go their way. So I'm not so sure that they can turn this thing around. We'll see.
It's definitely going to be interesting to see. Me personally, I hope they don't turn it around. But again, my team also has to turn it around in order for things to happen. We're not going to talk about that yet. We're going to say that. Not quite last, but close to last.
Brett, just rip the Band-Aid off, Brett. I pulled the Band-Aid off slow. Let's rip it off.
No, because I can't. I was going to go into that directly next, but Simply Ball Dropping keeps calling me out, so I have to go to the next game.
Yeah, we got to get to that one.
Got to get to one because he keeps calling me out, so let's go right into it. And if you guys don't know, he done told me already, stop stalling. He done told me you deflecting, so he's calling me out here. So we're going to his game, and K-Walk, this is your team. The 49ers lost to the Vikings 23-17. Give me your thoughts on this. How do you feel? Jay, I'm going to come to you first. K-Walk, since it's your team, I always like to make you go last.
I'm gonna be very brief because I didn't watch much of this game. I kept checking the score, and I was like, oh, the 49ers are down. And then I checked back. They're still down. I wonder what's going on. But every time I would go back, I was thinking, when are they going to make their run? When is San Francisco going to take this thing over? So I don't really know what went wrong. I'm just waiting to hear K-Walk's breakdown to tell me what happened with San Francisco. We all last week picked them to win. Obviously, it didn't happen. So K-Walk, man, I'm just ready to hear your thoughts because I did not see a whole lot of it. I was just waiting for San Francisco to make their run, and it never happened.
I'm still waiting, Jay. First, Simply Ball, man. It wasn't me who was stalling. Brett runs this. She runs this. She has the con here, man. So if it was up to me, I would have got it right out of the way, man. But all seriousness, yeah, I mean that was an excellent game plan by the Vikings. More so Brian Flores. Brian Flores did an excellent job of disguising his defense and confusing Brock Purdy. And Brock Purdy has come out and said, and even right after the game, he said, that was a great scheme. That was a great way of making things look like one thing and it turned into another. And so just hats off to the defense. And I also blame, I'm not making an excuse. I hate analytics, man. I wish we could take analytics out of the game because that thing, it just kills me because 49ers went forward twice on 4th down because analytics told them to do it. And that would have been at least 6 points there in my personal opinion. And that's obviously the outcome of the game. I know things probably could have went a little differently, but just a great game plan by the Vikings and what they did, especially as I mentioned on defense. And Sam Darnold did an excellent job of getting the ball to the big playmakers. They were without Jordan Addison, which I thought was going to be a big thing. I thought the 49ers were going to focus more on Justin Jefferson. I mean, they did, but they were just too slow. I mean, or I don't want to say they were too slow. Justin Jefferson was just too fast for him, especially on the 97-yard play, deep play. They had two safeties that were there, but he just outran them. And Sam Darnold did an excellent job of getting the ball there. So I don't have anything negative to say about the Minnesota Vikings. I thought they brought the fight to the 49ers. I thought it was a game that the Vikings won and the 49ers didn't win. It's hard for me to say that as a fan. But looking at the 49ers and what they need to improve on, I just think that Kyle Shanahan kind of got away from their identity. I think he wanted to put Brock Purdy in a situation where he would throw the ball, which he did, had a decent game, 300 yards, passing and a touchdown. But he did throw an interception where he tried to force the ball in there. He had one play where the ball slipped out of his hand. It was a fumble. That was an unforced turnover, if you will. But the Vikings took advantage of that. They had a block punt as well. The Vikings took advantage of that. So I think the Vikings were ready to play. The 49ers just didn't execute their game plan. And that's what it is. Any given Sunday, anyone can get beat, man. I mean, that's just what it comes down to. We're talking about the second week right now. And I see the 49ers right now. They're lose Debo. Lost McCaffrey, no excuse. It's the next man up mentality. So with that being said, just hats off to the Vikings, man. And then I think the 49ers are hopefully, they go in there against a depleted Rams team. Hopefully they can bounce back and win that and go to Levi's Stadium of the South and SoFi. But nonetheless, just hats off to the Vikings. And I'm sorry, Simply Ball Drive, man. I don't have any debate for you, man. I have no excuse for you, man. I can't get into an argument with you there, brother, because it is what it is. They were just a better team on that day.
Simply Ball Dropping. I don't know if you got the message. Yep. That was quick. That was quick. So here you go, K.
Oh, he's here.
We brought him. He is here. What's going on?
I was waiting.
How come we ain't got any? I hope we have some Falcon fans we bring in.
Nah.
We bring in the State fans in.
Nah, I was waiting.
What's up, brother?
How y'all doing, man? Appreciate
What's
you.
going on, man?
What's going on? K-Set from Simply Ball Dropping. Please check him out. His show is fantastic. It is great and it is growing fast. So congratulations on that. That thing is excelling quick. I watch. I'll be watching.
Salute.
But what are your thoughts on the game, K-Set? What are your thoughts? You heard K-Walk talk about his Niners a little bit. How you feel that your Vikings did with this? It was a surprise to I think all of us.
First of all, before I get off into my little soliloquy, I'm disappointed in you, Britt, because when you was talking about the Cowboys, one thing that you should have pointed out about what Dallas' issue is, it goes back to the last year, the first game when y'all played against them. You established the run against the Cowboys, you'll have them in a trick bag every time. And like y'all said about Micah Parsons, sometimes I feel like Micah Parsons just out there running around, right?
Yeah.
And like Jason said, you don't run away from him, you run straight at him. And if you go back to last year when y'all played him, when y'all had Swift and the way Jalen Hurts was doing the read option, run straight at him, right? So if he's lined up on the outside, why run away from him? Run straight at him, right? So when the Saints came out, they established a run with Kamara. And that goes back to week 1 when they played Carolina. Everybody said, they played Carolina, man. They drove all over Carolina. Do you know David Carr, was all the way 6 possessions, touchdowns? Yeah. So
K-Set froze. I was like, did I freeze?
Oh, no, you good? I'm here?
No,
you're good. Yeah, you're good.
Okay.
You're good.
But
we can hear you.
And I told people if Carr can get back to playing the way Carr played when he played with the Raiders before he had that leg injury, man, the Saints are going to be a handful.
Yep.
And y'all said it, man. The Saints are a good football team. But enough of that. Now let's get to the Vikings. And I'm disappointed in you, Jason.
I know.
Because of the fact that you was brash and bold with your pick, and you didn't even watch the game. That's how disrespectful you are. And I appreciate Kevin Walker for really being honest about the situation, and everything that Kevin Walker said, I can't debut. You know what I'm saying? Because he's spot on. Brian Flores got our defense playing elite, right? And I told people, I said if Kirk Cousins didn't go down last year with that Achilles injury, and the way our defense was playing at that time, we could have made a run at it. I'm not saying Super Bowl, but the Lions would have been hard to get up in that NFC North. We would have challenged the Lions. And then we was without Justin Jefferson. We brought all the quarterbacks in, and you know the story from there. But on Sunday, what surprised me on Sunday, the way he schemed, and we took away everything that the San Francisco 49ers did best. We never let Debo get established with his running game, even though McCaffrey wasn't there, but you still had the runner from, week one that was demolishing everybody. He still had yards on the ground. Yeah. But when it got down there in that red zone and Flores drew them schemes up, they couldn't move the ball. Purdy throwing the pick. And the thing about you talking about the analytics, when they was going to go for, I don't think they were scoring 6, because when it got down in that red zone.
Well, I said 3. I said 3. I said
I
at
thought
least
you
3.
said 6.
I said 6, meaning 2 field goals, because they
Okay.
went for 4th down again early or in your inch round. So, but go ahead.
But I think Shanahan, he trusted y'all's defense a little bit more than what he was supposed to, because Sam Darnold surprised me in the way he was getting that ball out of his hand. I didn't realize Sam Darnold had a big arm like that, because on the 97-yard touchdown to Jefferson, man, he at least threw that ball about 65 yards in the air and let Jefferson run up under it. But the thing about it is our defense with Pace and all them guys like that, I was just surprised, like Blake Cashman, and another thing, our linebacker, Josh Metellus, well, he's back there in the safety area. He's all over the field. And Andrew Van Kinkel. Now, he's going to be a name that I want y'all to keep an eye on, because if you notice that week 1, when he jumped on the pass and got the pick 6, he did the same thing to Purdy, but he missed it. Yeah. But I just like Byron Murphy Jr. I'm still not sold on him, but, Gilmore was a great pickup. Now, we got 2 great corners, but the thing about it is our front, we getting pressure on them. Even though we lost Danielle Hunter, but that dude, Dallas Turner, man, he's a beast, man. And then Jonathan, Grenard stepped in from where Danielle Hunter left off. And I just think if we can get back to them Zimmer days of playing good defense, man, we're going to shock a lot of teams. I'm not saying we Super Bowl ready, but I just think with this team, the way Brian Flores got our defense playing, I think that gives us a legit chance to be in ball games if Sam Darnold can just stay ahead of the chains. Now, like you said, Kevin, we was without Jordan Addison. You see him up on the wall. He was on the wall. So we was without him. But we still, with Brendan Powell and stuff like that, we still, in Justin Jefferson, respectfully, he's not Garrett Wilson, right? That's what he told them guys. They made all this headline news and stuff because they shut Garrett Wilson down and stuff like that. Justin Jefferson said, look, respectfully, I'm not Garrett Wilson. And I was surprised that they didn't pay that much more attention to Justin Jefferson, like Kevin Walker said. So kudos to my Vikings. We got Houston coming in. We're going to stomp a mud hole in them too. And it's time for my Minnesota Vikings to get respect. So, Jason, I think you might want to keep an eye on these Vikings, man, because we're going to make some noise, man.
You know what, man? That's what I'm thinking. Like when we saw them beat the Giants in week 1, I saw them beat the Giants in week 1, and I wrote it off as the Giants just not being a very good football team. But, listening to everything that K-Sap said, I mean, I think you're right, man. I got to give them another look.
Just put your eyes on them one. And that's the same thing we can say about the Dallas Cowboys. They played the Cleveland Browns, right? And then everybody thought that, okay, the Saints played the Carolina Panthers, right? And they was like, oh, they're not going to do that against the Cowboys. But, man, I'm here in Dallas, man. I loved it, right? And the thing about it is, the reason I say that is, man, you established a run against the Cowboys, man. You in business, and you want – and see, if you're behind on the Cowboys and the quarterback got to stand back and throw the ball and the defense can pin their ears back and just tee off on them, that's what the Cowboys want. So if you look at week 1 when they played against Cleveland, I don't think Dak had a great game that game. He just did enough because the special teams, Turbin had the punt return, the defense got the picks, so they was right in there. They was confusing Deshaun Watson. Yeah. So they had a chance. And like Brittany said, if you get the Cowboys playing from behind, Dak is going to show you what the real Dak is. He's going to start forcing stuff, get frustrated, think he's going to have to make a big play every time. And you see what happened, the 2 picks. He's trying to force it. But in order to beat the Cowboys, you got to come out and establish the run.
Yeah.
I have a question for you, K-Sep, since you're here, because your team has beat the 49ers 2 straight years in a row.
Exactly. Gave Brock Purdy fits last year.
Right. So is there something where teams will finally say, you know what, let's look at what the Vikings are doing, because the 49ers are a tough team. They're a tough team to beat. They have playmakers all over the daggone field. Kyle Shanahan's offense is not easy.
He didn't call his offense. I'm telling you that right now. He didn't call his offense. I'm just letting you know right now. He did not call his number offense.
Yeah.
Yes. But
go ahead,
but the Vikings, again, they still beat them 2 straight years in a row. Will other teams look at it and say, you know what, let's see what the Vikings did to try to see if we could. I know it's hard to completely imitate somebody else's defense, but let's try to see what they did to see if we could have the same result. What are your thoughts on that?
Man, I don't think nobody can really, try to even mirror what Brian Flores is doing. Brian Flores, if you go back to last year, Brian Flores, we was the most blitzed team in the NFL, right? Yep. And you got to have the personnel. Certain teams don't have the personnel. And like I tell my son all the time, like, we need lockdown corners, right? We need cornerbacks that can play their position, right? And you said this earlier about with Kyler Murray about the linebackers and the guys cheating up, right? But it all starts with the front four. If the front four can get pressure, because no DB can, hold their man that long. But Kyler Murray still got to make the throw, because Kevin Walker said that he's running around like a toy and all that, but he still got to make the throw. But Brittany pointed out something that is factual, because if the front four can't get no pressure on Kyler Murray, then your linebackers and DB is going to be lost.
Yeah.
So I think with Flores, I think our team as a whole, the defense, I think we feed off of our front, knowing what the front four is doing, and we stay.
I disagree.
Nah, you can't. I mean, I understand you can disagree.
It's the other way around. It's the other way around. I think they rely on their back end more than their line, because when I noticed in that game is that they weren't getting to Brock Purdy. What happened was there was a lot of sacks there. There were sacks there, but it was more so because of the coverage on the back end. Because of the fact of the matter is Brock Purdy was looking for his first, second, his third. He's going through his progressions, and he was able to do that. At one point, he was able to go to his fourth progression, but because the fact of the matter is that that defensive line wasn't getting to him. But y'all did a heck of a job at covering the back end, and that's what I noticed in that game.
Okay, that's a fair assessment, but it's the way the front four made Brock Purdy have to step up in the pocket, move to the side. And like you said, the downfield coverage was excellent. That's how we was getting the sacks. But when you move him out of his target, like you said, he got to go through his progressions. But when you moving him and make him step.
But that's the thing. Y'all weren't moving him. The only thing he was moving was his head.
That's what I'm saying. But the pocket was collapsing, right? So like we said about Kyler Murray, the defense can only hold these guys for so long. So if you got guys that can cover, and Brittany said it about Baltimore, about their linebackers, you know what I'm saying? If your linebackers are lost in space, and that's the thing about Josh Metellus, even though he is calling that defense, you still got Harrison Smith in the back, right? You still got Peyton, these young guys. Now we got younger, you know what I'm saying? So the fact that we brought Gilmore in, he's a solidified corner. Byron Murphy used to play for Arizona. I still not sold on him because he got beat a couple times with the drag route with Ayuk and Debo coming across the middle. But other than that, I totally agree with that, Kevin Walker, that you pointed that out. But I'm just saying, we're getting enough pressure. We're getting enough coverage to make that defense, work together. But back to Britt, I don't think there's no team that can mirror what Flores is doing because of the personnel. I think we have the personnel to do the things that Brian Flores is asking of Minnesota. I'm looking at these other teams outside of, Houston impressed me week one, right? Yeah. With their defense, right? So I'm seeing them guys moving around. I know they got Daniil Hunter and things like that. And just like last night with Philly, I know I'm getting off track, but I'll let you get into that. I know, I'm just saying, but the defense looked like they were scrambling, right? They looked like they didn't know what was going on. But back to Minnesota and your question, I don't think there's a team out there that can mirror the schemes that Brian Flores does, because Brian Flores is the most blitz defensive coordinator in the NFL.
Yeah.
Man, I love it. Don't I miss Jim Johnson with the Eagles? All right, any final thoughts on this 49ers Vikings game? Jay, K-Walk?
Just hats off to the Vikings, man. I mean, that was an excellent, like I said, I'm just going to just repeat what I said earlier. It's just an excellent game plan by those guys, and not so much the game plan, but their execution of the game plan. Yeah. And I'm just hats off to them. I can't, there's no excuse there. No excuse. Yeah. They were a better team. Yeah. That day.
Hey, I appreciate that, Kevin Walker. I really do, but I'm sold on our defense, but the offense, and I like Aaron Jones. I forgot to say, even though he fumbled, the game would have been way out of hand if he didn't fumble on the 1 yard line. But I like what he brings to the table, because he's one of them running backs that he's shifty, nifty. He can catch the ball out there. And also, man, it's like with Aaron Jones, man, I think, the way he runs, Dalvin Cook, I told my son this, when we had Dalvin Cook was on the decline, man. Because if you can't get Dalvin Cook in space, he's no good. But once he breaks through, he's out. But I like what the dynamic Aaron Jones brings to the table.
Let me ask you this real quick, K-Sep. Okay. How confident are you in Sam Darnold, though?
I just said that. I said I like the defense, but I got to pay attention to the offense, because, you know what I'm saying? But that's the only option. You know what I'm saying? McCarthy went down, and that's there's nobody out there that I would tell the Vikings to go trade for. Right? Okay. I would play our hand with Sam Darnold, hoping he don't get hurt. Wait for JJ McCarthy to get healthy next year, and if he can get healthy, and see what he can do, if he can, come back and replace Sam Darnold. But I have to trust Sam Darnold, right? Like I told y'all guys last year, I had to trust Kirk Cousins because he was my quarterback. So I got to trust Sam Darnold, but he got to show me a little more, because he made a bad decision at one time when he threw that pick, and I was like, oh my goodness, come on, Sam Darnold. Because it was times that we could have put that game away, we could have put it on ice, but we made it a little closer than what it was supposed to be.
Oh man, come on. Can you give us a little bit of credit? I know y'all were better that day, but we made some plays too now.
We made it a little closer than what it was supposed to be, man.
That would be my only concern.
And I agree with you, Jason. I totally agree with that.
Good enough week to week to week. And he doesn't even have to win the game, but just don't lose the game.
Exactly.
So that's what I'll be paying attention to.
I totally agree with that, man. Pharisee.
All right, guys.
Sam Darnold.
Nah, you can do it, man. I appreciate y'all bringing me up. I'm gonna let y'all finish. I just needed to get in here because Jason Collins.
Did you get that? Hey, man, let me ask you this before you go. Did you get that fresh out the cleaner? You just opened the bag. I'm talking about the jersey.
Oh no, that's that.
That's clean.
Nah, that's just. I got all kinds of jerseys laying around. I go back to Alan Page and Chuck Foreman. I go to all of them. You know what I'm saying?
That's that outcast. So fresh.
But see, what I did is I put it on purposely because I was waiting patiently. I know. I was waiting patiently to get up on here. But y'all keep doing what y'all doing, man. Y'all growing and flowing, man. I see the traction going, man. Just keep providing the great content, and y'all on your way. And I appreciate all the love. Man. All right, appreciate you. All right, appreciate you, Britt.
Thank you.
All right,
thank you.
Bye.
All right. Well, first and foremost, thank you, K-Sep, for stopping in again. Simply Ball dropping. Please go subscribe, like, share. He is growing fast and he's doing some great things over there. An awesome show if you could check it out. And great content. All right, guys, that was nice between the Vikings and the 49ers, but we got to get to this Monday night game. And unfortunately, if I could cover up that right there with a piece of paper, I probably would. But it's only week 2. That's still my team. It is what it is. If they die, I guess I got to go down with them. I'm the captain of this ship, and if my ship goes down, I'm going down with them. But the hope is that it's only week 2, so we'll get to our destination, the destination that we.
Hey, Britt, that's your house, man. That's your house. My father always used to tell me that this is your house. This is one place you don't duck and hide from. It's your house. So
exactly.
don't
I can't, so I'm here. So this is what. I have been getting texts about this. You're going to talk about the Eagles? Of course I'm going to talk about the Eagles. What else I'm going to talk about? As we know, the Eagles lost somehow, some way to the Falcons, 21-22. I guess I'll go last on this because guys know how I am when it comes to my team losing. I guess what's your overall thoughts? K-Walk, I'm gonna come to you first on this.
Yeah, looking at this game, Britt, I watched it from from beginning to the end, and just looking at this game, and it was what, just field goal after field goal. There was a touchdown there, and it just seemed like it was a game that the team wanted to each team they were scared to score. I mean, they were scared to make a big play. It just seemed like that. But as the time went down, as the game got closer to the end, we started to see those big plays. And I'm looking at Jalen Hurts. I'm like, oh my God, this guy is just you mentioned it earlier, Brett. So this guy's just a running back, man. I mean, can he throw the ball? Can he get the ball downfield without running the ball? But if it works, if it worked, then yeah, if it worked, it worked. I know they were without AJ Brown. I know you guys aren't using. I hope you guys aren't using that as an excuse, but because you still had the opportunity to win that game. I mean, Devontae Smith stepped up. The young kid, what's his name? The young number, I think is 18. What was his number? The short receiver. He stepped up in his absence. Cubby. Mm-hmm. Cubby did an excellent job of being that safety valve for Jalen Hurts. Obviously, Saquon Barkley did his thing up until that, the crucial point of the game, a part of the game. But overall, when you look at these two teams, they look like they were very similar teams, on paper. You had Bijan Robinson, who's one of the best running backs, in the game. He kept them in the game. I think he had 100 yards, if not close to 100 yards. Then you had Drake London, who did an excellent job. I still think that the Falcons can take that next leap if they can somehow get Kyle Pitts in the offense more often, man. I mean, he's one of the least used weapons. Is it the most least or the least used the least used weapon in all of the NFL, man. If you can get him involved in that passing game, this offense can really take off for the Falcons. I know Kirk Cousins was in the pocket a lot, and if you give Kirk Cousins, as we know, he's not mobile. We know he's not mobile. Even before the Achilles injury, he wasn't a mobile quarterback to begin with. But if you give him time, he will carve you up, and we saw that at the end of the game, at that last drive. Now, speaking of that last drive, man, I mean, we looked at third down, and I don't know why the Eagles threw the ball on that down. I don't know to this day why they did it. And I'm looking at Sirianni. I said, Sirianni, this is where analytics come in, because analytics, and they kept putting it up on the screen. Analytics tell you to go for it. Analytics tell you to go for it. And Nick Sirianni looks like he's just a deer in headlights sometimes. He looks like he's like a little squirrel running across the street in traffic. He's not sure what he's supposed to do. He's not sure what he's supposed to do by the looks on his face. And going for it on third down, or throwing it on third down, was totally the wrong move. I'm not just saying that because it's hindsight. I said it I said, you better run this ball. You better run the ball. For one, the Falcons don't have any timeouts remaining. 2 is third down. If you don't get the first down, you let that clock drip all the way down as long as you possibly can, kick the field goal, and you get 6 points. They didn't do that. Granted, people can say, well, if he just caught the ball, well, don't put yourself in that situation. If Saquon would have caught the ball, then the game would have been over. Yeah, but shouldn't have. I'm not saying it because it's hindsight. I'm saying it because it should have happened. But nonetheless, and then you gave Kirk Cousins, and then the defense. I don't know what defense they were playing in the at that last drive. Prevent defense, Jay. You know what they say about prevent defense, right? Prevent you from winning. Yep. And it was 3 passes, 3 plays, I believe it was. It was the one to Pitts and 2 to the one to Mooney, and then the game went into Drake London. 3 passing plays. 3 passing plays, and that's all it took. And they still left 34 seconds on the clock. So that's the 34 seconds that y'all could have ran off. But nonetheless, I'm saying that the Eagles choked. I'm saying the Eagles choked in that game.
I guess. I mean, did the Niners choke in the?
No, we didn't. We didn't.
Jay,
they choked.
Jay, what's your thoughts on the game?
Look,
I'm not going to mention that because I already know how K-Walk feels about the Eagles regardless. But Jay,
I don't want to overreact too much to one game, right? I want to look at it a little bit from the Falcons' point of view. I think, like, when you look back at the Falcons last year, they lost a lot of really close games. I think they're a better football team than a lot of people think. They have an outstanding offensive line, one of the best offensive lines in all of football. I think we saw that last night in the way that they could run the ball. So I think the Falcons are better than people think. But if I'm an Eagles fan, just like looking at things from a broad perspective, I think there's a couple things that are concerning because they got those two big, enormous defensive tackles, and they could not stop the run. So I think, number one, they got to figure out how to stop the run because that's what Philly really needs to hang their hat on defensively, that you're not going to show up and run the ball on us. The Falcons were running it however they wanted to all night long. Number two, they got to figure out how to get some pass rush. I mean, I know Hassan Reddick is on the Jets, and we were talking about last week how the Jets missed Hassan Reddick. Well, the Eagles miss him too because they needed to get more pressure on Kirk Cousins, and they just weren't able to do it. So I think that was a problem. Now, again, is that a function that the Falcons have a really good offensive line, or is that because Philly just doesn't have the pass rushers anymore? So if I'm an Eagles fan, that's really the only thing that's concerning to me. We got to stop the run and we got to get some pressure on the quarterback. We know it's a talented roster. We know they're going to be able to score points. So I don't want, and honestly, Britt, to be really honest, they should have won the game. Like we shouldn't even be talking about a game that they lost. To K Walk's point, I think if they just run, even though I don't hate the call to throw it, I agree with you, K Walk. The right decision is to run the ball. I think you win the game if you run it. If the Falcons get the ball back, there's maybe 35, 40 seconds on the clock. So I think they win it if they run it. I didn't hate the call to throw it. I mean, if Barkley catches it, he probably scores. But again, the smart play would have been just to run it and be safe, right? So, Britt, it's a game they should have won. It slipped out of their hands in the last few minutes of the game. I don't want to overreact to it. I think they're still a really good team. They just got to shore up a couple things. Like I was shocked at how well Atlanta was able to run the ball on that stout defensive line. So they got to get that fixed, but they're going to be all right.
All right, now it's my turn. Let's start with the offense, I guess. I think the offense did miss some plays. I think the first game against Green Bay, I believe they were 4 of 4 in the red zone, maybe 4 or 5. They maybe missed one opportunity to score a touchdown. This game, they were like 2 of 4, 2 of 5. You got to get that better. Like if you're in the red zone, you have to make the proper decisions. And get that touchdown, get those 6 points. It's important, crucial, especially with the way the defense looked. Don't want to put it in the defensive hands whatsoever. And I think there was a lot of missed opportunities. I just felt like they were throwing it where they should have been running the ball. Saquon Barkley has been gashing the Falcons offensive line all day, just like Bijan was dashing. I said the Falcons offensive line. I'm going to say defensive line. Just like Bijan was gashing our defensive line all day. He's your best player at that particular time on the field. You're missing A.J. Brown. Lean on him. He was doing fantastic. So there were some missed opportunities there. But if I had to put the blame on anybody, I don't know if I'm going to put it on the players. They have to take the blame. They have to take accountability, especially Darius Slay. What the hell are you doing? Looking in the backfield. You're a man. Why is Drake London for the game-winning play wide open on the other side of the end zone? Because you thinking you about to cut in or something. Wrong. I'm trying to be cool. Y'all. I'm trying to be cool. I'm trying to be cool. But I didn't like the coaching. I thought the coaching was terrible this game. I really did. I did not like the play calling really on either side of the football. I think Jalen Hurts actually had a decent game outside of that interception towards the end because he's trying to force it when you didn't have to even do that. But that's going to be a learning curve for him. You got it. I don't know how many times you're going to have to learn it, but I hope you learn it soon because you're getting up there now. So, you only needed 15, 20 yards and you're trying to throw it to Devontae Smith and he was double covering. You got Jesse Bates just waiting. He was sitting on that, just waiting for it. But Vic Fangio in this defense, if y'all don't do something, I don't know what the hell I'm going to do this year. I don't know. I'm not going to be able to watch the games because there's no way. Granted, they're young, and I try to give them a reason. You try to say they're young, they're learning, they're very young. I think we're like the top 5 and the youngest team. We're averaging less than 25, 26 years of age, something like that. But Jay, you're right. You got Jordan Davis, 6'6", 300 something pounds. You have Jalen Carter, and I try to give Jalen Carter an excuse because he does get double and sometimes triple team. But what is the excuse for the other guys on that defensive line? There is none. You got one-on-ones across the board. You can't beat Bryce Huff. You can't beat a daggone tight end. You can't be a tight end. Are you kidding me? And yes, I got to come at Howie Roseman because you had Bryce Huff in the building. You had Hassan Reddick in the building. We did not trade him yet. You had both these guys. When you look at Bryce Huff, and I was excited to get Bryce Huff, knowing we also had Hassan Reddick. So we were compromised. The moment we traded Hassan Reddick, I said, uh-oh. Bryce Huff wasn't a full-time pass rusher. The Jets was willing to let him go for a reason. I was okay with it, knowing that we had Hassan Reddick and we had other guys there, to make up for what he may not be able to do just yet, right? He's still fairly a young player. I think he's 25, 26 years old. Fine. Vic Fangio, you got to help your young players. You got to help them. I did not see any blitzing the entire game. I did not see 5-man fronts to help stop the run. I did not see any of it. You just leaving them stranded. They are getting gashed by Bijan Robinson, who is probably just as talented as a Saquon Barkley. He's a very talented running back. The first half, he tore us apart, and you're just going to allow that to continue on in the second half. What's the rule, guys? What's the rules? What you don't get the opportunity to rush the quarterback until you could stop the daggone run. Like, what are we doing here? This was, to me, I'm glad it happened in week 2, because I swear if this would have happened in week 10, I would have just pulled my hair out. Not literally, y'all. I would have pulled my hair out. But this is a continuation of an issue that has been going on for many, many years. Even during the Super Bowl years after that, they just don't pay. They only pay so much attention to the defensive side of football. Guess what? Teams are starting to understand what you're trying to do on the offensive side of football. So they're going to do everything they can to try to slow you down. You're missing your top player. So that means you got to help your defense as much as possible. And they didn't do anything to help them. That last play, K-Walk, that you were talking about, and I'm not trying to take all day, but this is really starting to get me heated. That last play, they attacked, and it was smart to do it. They attacked Quinyon Mitchell. The big throws, I think both of them went to Darnell Mooney on the left side. They attacked Quinyon Mitchell. I love Quinyon Mitchell. I think it's a big time learning opportunity for him, but they look confused. He got caught up trying to pay attention to the one guy that's just sitting there and let the wide receiver go right behind him and sat right in between the safety and the cornerback. What are we doing? Tell him. Somebody should tell him, you got to play back, because now we're just playing against the clock. And I agree. That's going to be my next question before I answer the daggone question. So if I had to put the blame on anybody right now, it's going to be the defense. It's going to be the coaching, Vic Fangio. You didn't give him any help. I'm not big on what they did offensively, but I'm not upset on what they did offensively, because to me, you did enough. You just didn't execute certain things, right? Last question for you guys, because I need to calm down. It's only week 2, because I kind of heard you guys go back and forth about it a little bit as well. And I've been listening to a lot of sports talk all day long. And sometimes, after the Eagles or Cowboys or 49ers, whoever loses, sometimes you just don't want to listen to it. You just need to get it out your head, go away from it.
Yeah.
People have been different on that last play, the Eagles offensive drive, that Eagles play. Should they have thrown it to Saquon Barkley? Should he have ran it? K-Walk, you said you don't think they should have thrown it. Jay, you said you didn't disagree with the play. I'm a little indifferent with it. I'm not exactly sure, because if he would have caught that pass, we're having a different conversation today.
Right.
Most people are saying how great the play was, how brilliant it is to draw up that play. But at the same time, you're playing against the clock now.
Right.
Forget the Falcons. Don't even worry about the Falcons at this point. It's less than 2 minutes. They have no timeouts, like we mentioned. You're now playing against the clock. The smart thing is you're 3 yards away. Saquon has been killing them all day. Okay, if you get 2 yards, what's next? What's next if you get 2 yards? You're
Push,
fourth
push.
and one, then
You run,
push, brotherly shove, whatever the heck you could do.
Yeah.
And honestly, you could probably do the brotherly shove twice if you would have thought about it.
First down, yeah.
To get the first down if you really want to take that risk. And okay, let's say if that didn't work, you don't get that first down by running a brotherly shove twice, tush push, whatever the heck you want to call it. Let's say you get turnover on downs. They got to go 90 yards down the field with less than 40 seconds on the clock.
Exactly.
It's not that difficult. It's not. And K-Walk, you're right. Eagles and Nick Sirianni, they're such an analytical team, and I don't know where they got that from, but you can't always listen to analytics. Why kicking on 4th and 3 there, where in the first quarter you could have had 3 points? We didn't mention this. You would have kicked that first field goal in the first quarter, you win this game, by the way. You could have had 3 points, but you don't go on 4th and 3 at the end of the game. I would have preferred for you to go 4th and 3 on that 4th and 3 to make them go the full length down the field. Instead, you kick the field goal and they go down the field in less than 1 minute. So, K-Walk, I didn't want to hear you say it earlier, but I'm not going to lie. It was a week 2 choke. But again, it was week 2. They better learn from it. If not, we're going to be in for a long season. That's all I'm going to say. Any final thoughts on this terrible game by the Philadelphia Eagles?
No, I think we hit it all.
Yeah.
And I spent overtime on this.
Is Sirianni the question? Because you not right now after week 2, you're questioning the defensive coordinator right now. And we know in the last few seasons.
Go ahead. Let me.
No, I'm saying the last few seasons we've seen that they're on their third defensive coordinator in 3-4 years now, 3-4 seasons. So if you continue to have the same question about the defense, then you have to point your finger either at Rosen or at Sirianni, one of the two.
I think for this game, I'm questioning the defense, but this is only one game. Vic Fangio, my understanding, he's a great coordinator. He's probably trying to figure out his pieces right now, so I still have to give him a chance. Nick Sirianni has had a few years. I don't like Nick Sirianni. Y'all know I don't like Nick Sirianni. I done said this time and time again, but just like K-Sep said with Sam Darnold, I kind of got to stick with him for right now, right? I felt like this past season was the opportunity for us to move on from a Nick Sirianni. But, people have said you got to give him an opportunity. He did go to the Super Bowl the year prior. The year prior to that, he did go to the playoffs, whatever. But there's a certain decision making. And I just feel like the coaching isn't there. And sometimes I could see it in the players. I just don't think it's there. I just don't.
Well, let me ask you this. With that being said, is it the X's and O's or is it the Jim and Joes? You got to ask yourself that. Is it the scheme or is it the players?
I don't think we could make the case that it's the roster. I think they have a very good roster.
Very good roster.
I don't think anyone would argue that their roster is not good enough, right?
Right. I agree. I mean, you have some young players, but they're going to lean on the coaching to put them in the right position, right? So I just don't know if Nick Sirianni can do that. And I know Nick Sirianni is a little bit more hands-off. He's more the CEO type of head coach. Kellen Moore is more in charge of the play calling for the offense. Same thing with Vic Fangio for the defense. But at the same time, as a head coach, you have to understand situational football, one, and you have to make the final decision. And sometimes these final decisions just aren't right.
And, my problem with Sirianni, right, is because football is just such a unique game, right? It is highly cerebral. Like, I know people think it's just a bunch of guys out there running into each other, but you cannot play the game if you're not smart, right? But it's also like the ultimate team game, camaraderie, brotherhood. Yes. But at the end of the day, like when the coach stands up in front of the team, like, you got to believe in that guy. You got to believe in that guy that's telling you to go out there and run through a wall and do all this crazy stuff that humans probably shouldn't even be doing. And I'm just not sure that if he's standing in front of me in that locker room, that I believe him. And to me, that's my only problem with him. Like, is he the guy that's going to say, like, get you to really say, all right, let's go out here and do this. And then for me, and I could be 100% wrong, but when I look at him, I just don't see that kind of leadership. So that's my issue.
I can't answer that question because we could go around the NFL and say that about a lot of NFL coaches, right? We could say that about Mike McCarthy and the way they play. So it's a lot of head coaches that I feel like you could say that about. I go off of based off what I see from the players. The players love him. They play, and it's probably because he has their back. So you have a player's back, they'll have your back. I just think this is more of a play a decision making. I don't want to say play calling because we have a new play caller now, but this is more of a decision making in certain situations. So it comes down to me situational football because every team is going to go through their ups and downs, their woes throughout the course of the season. So I'm not expecting to win every game. It's just that you need to make smarter decisions in certain situations to at least increase your odds of winning. And when I seen yesterday, it just wasn't a lot of smart decisions being made, really on the defensive side, but a few times on the offensive side.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this, Britt. I mean, I think I asked this question before, and if I did, I don't recall the answer. Is Nick Sirianni, is he more of an offense or defensive coach? I think I posed that question before.
Offense.
I don't know the answer. He's offensive guy? Okay. Just curious.
Yeah, he's offense, but they completely took the play calling away from him. I did, but I don't know. The Eagles front office. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if you guys noticed. I still seen, and a lot of these play callers, the offensive coaches, whether it's the coordinators or the head coaches, a lot of their plays will overlap. But I seen some of the same play calls from last year. I don't want to get that. That was predictable play calling last year. We do not want that anymore. I understand you have better players, or you added additional players, I should say. But we don't want that. We need some more creativity. I need to see Goddard utilized a lot more in this offense. I don't mind what they did yesterday. They did enough to win yesterday. They just didn't get the win. But the certain players I want to see get more involved in the game. I want them to utilize the middle of the field more. They keep throwing outside the numbers. Why are you still throwing outside the numbers? Go inside. Trust your guys and throw inside. So I wish I was in the huddle at times, but we'll see what happens. But I don't blame this loss on Jalen Hurts at all. I mean, outside of the interception, because I guess you still had the opportunity. But I think to me, over the course of the game, they had the opportunity to win. He did what was needed to win. There were no guys that were getting open, which was crazy to me. None. And he did what he was supposed to. We don't get in a position to win without Jalen Hurts yesterday. Put it that way. All right.
Yeah. I don't blame Hurts either. I don't think he's the reason they lost.
I don't either.
You guys ready to move on? We just gonna skip past a break because we ran overtime into this NFL week 2 recap. I had one more game. Actually, I had 2 more games, but let me just get your thoughts real quick on it. Panthers lose to Chargers 3-26. But I gotta get your thoughts on Bryce Young being benched. We gotta talk about it real fast. What are your thoughts on Bryce Young being benched? Is it too early? K-Walk, I'm going to come to you first.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's very early. I mean, when you look at this roster that's put together right now, I mean, look at the receivers. Who do they have over there? Dante Johnson and an aging Adam Thielen, who's, known to be hurt. Their running back, I think they got Hubbard, and I forget who else they have on the backup. I think it's Miles Sanders. So appropriate name for him because there's a lot of miles on those legs. But yeah, when you put a young quarterback in this situation, I mean, these are the outcomes, or the outcomes are going to happen. I mean, what are you going to go to? Andy Dalton, what is he proven? And with good teams, he was with good teams with the Cincinnati Bengals, and I forget who else he was with that he did. I think it was with the Cowboys as well, that he did okay, but he had weapons around him in order for him to excel. But with this particular team, I don't care who you put in there. You could put Patrick Mahomes in this situation, and I just don't think that you may get 1 or 2 games here, but I don't think you're going to get much of a different outcome as far as wins and losses. Maybe 1 or 2 games, but that's just how bad this team is presently constructed, and that's all I can say. I feel bad for the young man, and I don't understand why they want to make this move now and go to an Andy Dalton of all people.
Yeah, I'm with you, K-Walk. Look, I know people keep mentioning about the Tom Brady situation, what Tom Brady said about, young players should sit for a couple years, really learn, kind of what Jordan Love did. But the thing is, you put him out there already. Like, you already put him out there. Keep him there. There are other young players that are struggling. You didn't give him the best weapons or the best playmakers. You didn't put the best players around him to really succeed. Your offensive line is horrible. I understand. All I keep hearing, he's small. So is Kyler Murray. He's small too, but he makes it happen. I still think Bryce Young
Small
is a
before you
talented
draft him.
quarterback. Right. Exactly. I still think he's a talented quarterback. Just the Panthers are embarrassing regardless. So it wouldn't matter if Tom Brady was back. Well, no, that's okay. Let me rewind that a little bit.
Yeah, I don't
It
think
wouldn't
Tom Brady
matter
could
if
sign
Tom
this.
right, he's not going to go there, period. But it wouldn't matter what quarterback you have back there. I just don't think the Panthers organization as a whole is just a good organization. And for a young person to come in to try to learn, I just don't think it's a good situation for Bryce Young. But we'll see what happens. But I'm with you, K Walk. I think Andy Dalton being there, to me, you're kind of shaking up Bryce Young's confidence for no reason. Keep him there, allow him to continue to learn and grow and see what happens. But Jay, your thoughts?
No, I agree. I think it just shows the incompetence of the coaching staff, the front office, the organization as a whole. I mean, Bryce, I don't, and I'm not even sure if Bryce Young is good. I don't know if he's going to be good, but how can we know? Because he's out there. He just doesn't have the talent base to really allow us to give him a fair assessment. But what I do know is if you pull him off the field now, right, and you're going to play Andy Dalton. Okay, so let's say, well, what happens next year? Are you going to roll Bryce Young back out there and see what happens? Why
Right.
not just give him the experience now? Let him play the season. You're not going anywhere. You're not making the playoffs. You're going to be one of the worst teams in the league, if not the worst. I would just let him play, at least try to evaluate him. And then at the end of the season, if you think this guy is someone you can move forward with, do it. And if not, okay. But sitting him down is not going to do anything for you. It's not like Andy Dalton's going to be the difference in you winning games or not.
Seriously.
So I just think it's a huge mistake. I think to your point, Britt, it probably crushes this guy's confidence. And we know success isn't always all about the player. It's about the organization, the team around. So, and he's just got all of that working against him right now. So just a really bad situation for him.
It's going to be interesting how that works. All right, next one real quick because I know we got to go through these. Giants lose to Commanders 18-21. I think they made history after scoring at first NFL team ever. After scoring touchdowns. What, they scored three touchdowns, I believe. And the Commanders scored none, and they still lost. Commanders scored 21 points worth of field goals. That is crazy. Your thoughts on this, I guess, the history that was made. Anybody just go ahead and take it.
Yeah, I just think when you talk about the Giants and the situation, they have the $40 million guy and Daniel Jones, or we talk about all the time, them letting Saquon Barkley go, and they're just making the wrong moves. That the decision to tote out those uniforms in week 1, 2, as well, just to throw a little funny out there. But yeah, their decision making is questionable at best. But this is the type of team that you have. I mean, Dable can only do so much. I mean, I forget who the GM is. I should know that as a New York guy, but I'm not a Giants fan, but I should still know that. But nonetheless, I was watching a little bit of this game because I just wanted to see what Jaden Daniels was about, and my guy Brian Robinson as well. And you look at this team, and I'm wondering why they weren't beating them, more handily, to be honest with you. But when you look at the Giants team, they're just a wreck up from the neck up. And what I mean by that is just they're from, they're brass and their guys are in charge. They just they're not smart. They're not smart, from the head out, from the shoulders up. So they're making the wrong moves, wrong decisions to bring Napier in there. I know he's a Napier. The receiver, he's a great receiver, but he doesn't have anyone to give him the ball. So you should bring in someone there, offensive line or something like that nature, to get these guys going. Build inside out, and they're just making the wrong moves. But to have a historic moment like that, it's fitting for the Giants.
Right. Yeah, I'll give Commanders credit. They just have to capitalize on it. They got in the red zone quite a lot. They couldn't finish, but I think that'll come in time. But Jaden Daniels, was moving the football. So, he's a young quarterback. He's a rookie, but he's a runner. He's a track star. No, I'm just kidding. But he was getting down there, and that's what you can appreciate, just to give him credit there. And the Giants, thank you. I'm gonna just say thank you. That's all I'm gonna say. All right, guys, let's move on because we got to get to some college football. Real quick, just to get your thoughts. Colorado beats Colorado State 28-9. Did that game really impress you guys, or just this is just a small rivalry that really means nothing to the bigger picture of college football? Jay, I'm gonna have you go first.
Colorado State is not a good football team. I mean, Colorado wins the game. It's a game they definitely should have won. I did like that their offensive line played a little bit better and they were able to run the football. They protected Shador. So I think all those things are positive for Colorado, but the problem is the opponent just wasn't very good. So it's a step in the right direction. I think we'll learn more about Colorado this weekend. They have to play Baylor, who is a step up, I would say. So they definitely have some positives to take away. Offensive line played better, ran the ball well. Shador was only sacked once the entire game. So all those things are good. The real question is, can they do it again this weekend against a better opponent?
Yeah, I'm curious about the same thing. I mean, they did what they were supposed to do. You know, they beat a inferior team, and that's exactly what they did. That should teach Colorado State not to talk so much crap next time. I think they got that lesson learned. I don't know if y'all seen Shador Sanders. He said, "You was talking crap. We ain't shaking hands. Get up out my face with that." I love it though. I personally love it. But Jay, I'm with you. We know the talent that they have. Jimmy Horn, Travis Hunter, incredible. Shador Sanders is incredible. But now you're going up against better competition this weekend. Let's see what you got. K-Walk, any thoughts on this Colorado State game?
Yeah, Jay hit the nail on the head for me. I was going to mention Baylor as well. When you look at this team, that's a team that you had to beat if you're Colorado. If you want to have people telling you to shut up, and you guys just kind of alluded to or touched on a little bit of the junk talking that was going on between Shador and the quarterback from Colorado State. But yeah, I think this is what they needed, meaning Colorado. I think they get their confidence back, get their swag back. I don't think they lost it, but I think they regained a lot more of it. Maybe they lost a little bit of it to get back into the winning thing, the winning category, if you will. And then they have, like Jay mentioned, Baylor. I want to see what this game brings out. This is going to be a high-scoring game, and I think we're going to see Shador and Travis Hunter having a heck of a game. We're talking about Pac-12 teams that really don't rely on defense too much here. So I'm looking forward to seeing how this goes. I wish those guys I'm not mad at Shador, but I am at the same time, because I'm just thinking to myself, would I have done that if I was his age and all the junk talking was going on? I probably wouldn't have shook his hand, but being the old man that I am now, should have shook his hand, you know what I mean? So it's kind of mixed feelings about that. But overall, just a much needed win for Coach Prime and that Colorado team, without question.
Well, K-Rock, to answer that question, a young, competitive Brittany, I probably wouldn't have shook his hand either. So
I'm not mad at Shador, because the thing I can say about him is at least he's authentic. Like he is who he is. He's a lot like Deion. Like he is who he is. So I can live with that, even though everything he does and says I probably wouldn't do, especially now. K-Walk, looking back on it. But when you're young and you're rich and you're the starting, it's hard not to be cocky. It's hard not to be arrogant. So I'm not really mad at him. He is who he is.
All right, guys, let's go to the next game. K-Walk, sorry, I had to bring this in, but I really want to know your thoughts about your team. Florida lost to Texas A&M 20-33.
Hey, Jay, you don't have to say like that.
K-Walk, I'm actually going to start with you first on this one. What were your thoughts on this game?
Oh no, Jay act like you saw like a murder scene or something like that.
It was close, K-Walk.
I thought he was gonna do that with the Eagles. That probably would have got me tight. Man. But he didn't. He kept it mellow. He kept it cool. I
ain't do that. I ain't even do that with his Cowboys. But no, I'm playing. But it's a fair reaction, Jay, because that was my reaction as well, man. To be honest with you, but yeah, when you look at this team, it's hard because you got Graham Mertz and you got DJ Lagway, and they bring two different type of styles of football from a quarterback standpoint. Mertz is more of a passer, and Lagway can throw the ball as well. But I just wish they just put these guys in the same type of situation. If you're going to call the same plays, I know you're trying to throw the opposition off, but at least give Lagway the same opportunities you give, Graham Mertz. If you want Graham Mertz to be the quarterback, just name him the quarterback. I mean, Lagway is a freshman and Mertz is a 6-year guy. So if you want to go with Mertz and just, bring him in sparingly, but don't do every other series. I do not like that. There's no way in the world you're going to tell me that a quarterback can get in a rhythm that way. There's no way, unless you say, "Oh, we're going to run these particular plays, or specific plays, or what have you," which I think is wrong altogether. But looking at this team, man, there's just no heart there. There's no heart from the linebackers. The defensive line, they don't play with any courage. I put it in our thread.
Right.
Napier has no idea what he's doing right now. So I kind of referenced, the Wizard of Oz, that they all need to go see the Wizard for various things. But yeah, I they got not Ole Miss. They got Mississippi State this week. So let's see. That's a winnable game. Will they win it? We'll see. If they can win this game, I think it can gain some momentum. But after that, it's going to be tough. Other than those, those sidebar games, or little pickup games, if you will. But after that, they got a tough schedule to face.
Okay, well, what was the one quarterback's name?
Which one? DJ Lagway?
The other one.
Graham Mertz.
How does that sound like that could be a DJ? DJ Graham Mertz.
Yeah, they look like they're playing different songs, so it's probably good. They play different tunes.
Maybe that needs, if it don't work out with Florida, maybe that's going to end up being his job. No, I'm just kidding. But Jay, do you have any thoughts on this Florida losing to Texas A&M?
Yeah, I just I'm looking at the top 15 teams in the country right now, and pretty much, maybe with the exception of one or two, they all just have really good quarterbacks. And I just think it's hard to win the way college football is played now, unless you've got a guy at the quarterback position that can be a difference maker. And the fact that they're trying to figure out how to play both of these guys, it tells you that they don't have one guy that they feel like can just go out there and be a difference maker for them. So I think that's part of the issue. And then the other thing too, I just think all around the country, teams just aren't as deep as they used to be, because a guy that maybe in the past would have been a backup at Florida, he's gone somewhere else to be a starter. So then you get a couple guys hurt, you get a couple guys out. Next thing you know, all of a sudden you're playing with a roster that's nowhere near as good as it used to be a few years ago. So I think all those things are factored into Florida. And I don't know how K-Walk, I know you said about the coach, he needs to find a brain. I'm not sure they got the right guy in there either. So I just think they got a lot of issues that have to be fixed.
Yeah.
All right, guys, we're going to move on to the last college football game, and then I want to ask you something about the WNBA. Real quick, Florida State lost to Georgia Tech 21-24. I cannot say his last name, but Florida State's quarterback, DJ, that's what I call him. DJU. Thank you. DJU. If you're not sure, just go Google him. You'll see the whole name. Is it time just to move on from DJU? Is it time to move on, or is it something deeper? K-Walk, I'm going to start with you.
No, I don't think it's time to move on. You brought this guy in, for a reason, out of the transfer portal. I mean, they lost. His name always escapes me, but they lost their quarterback last season due to that horrific leg injury, which kept him ultimately kept him out of the national championship, or kept him out of the playoffs, I should say. DJU, a lot of people thought he was going to be that guy, perfect fit for him. For both sides, for DJU and for Florida State, but it's just not panning out. He's just not that guy. Now, I don't know who they have to replace him, but I just think that you're 0-3 right now. Can they make the playoffs? I doubt it. They could run the table. They can't make the playoffs, even if they run the table.
I think even if
I'm not saying that they will. I'm saying can they?
I think even if they won every game, I don't see how they.
So they have no chance of winning the ACC.
I don't think so.
So they have no chance of winning the ACC.
Well, maybe they could win the ACC. I'm just saying I don't think with 3 losses. I don't think they would put them in.
No, I agree. I agree that they won't. But I'm just saying, are they mathematically eliminated because they win
could
the
probably
ACC?
Still.
They can get in, but I don't see that happening either, Jay.
Right.
But yeah, I think you keep him. Yes, the guy you brought in, that's the partner you brought to the dance. So continue to dance with them until they tell you it's the last song. So yeah, I say keep.
Jay, what are your thoughts on DJU? He has not been playing great, but the team also has not been playing great as well.
I actually do think it's time to move on. I think we've seen enough of this guy, not just at Florida State, but every other stop he's been at as well. And I just think at this point he is what he is. Now, if you think he gives you the best chance to win, okay, fine, play him. But if you've got somebody else, a backup that you think, okay, let's get this guy some experience, we're not going anywhere anyway, I would maybe think about playing someone else, or at least playing them some, like not just letting DJU take the whole thing, because I don't think he's that good. Like, I know he came into college with 5-star, tons of hype, Clemson, the whole thing. I don't think he's that good. I really don't think he's that good. So I think I would consider moving on. They're 0-3. They lost to Memphis this past weekend. I mean, I can only go up from here. So if there's somebody else, I'd maybe consider giving them a shot.
I don't know what they have.
I don't either. But I'd maybe consider it.
There's two to that. It could go up or it could stay status quo. And I feel like they're going to stay status quo.
Well, we can't go down, but look at the positive.
Right. You can't go no lower than the floor. So there you go. And they're at the floor, not to be pessimistic, I guess you can say, but I'm not a Florida State fan, so I don't care.
I'm a Gator fan, so I don't.
Right, I'm an Ohio State fan. Jay, you're Penn State, so there we go. All right, guys, let's move on because we are tight on time. WNBA historic record was met, and that's the one and only my MVP. My face of the WNBA. Yes, I'm saying it. My face of the WNBA. No, I'm just kidding. Aja Wilson has reached the milestone. She was the first to score 1,000 points in the season in the history of the WNBA. What are your thoughts on Aja Wilson reaching this milestone? Jay, I'm going to start with you.
The MVP of the league, the best player in the league, no question. It's an amazing accomplishment. First person to do it. First person to average that level of points that she's averaged. I mean, it's just fantastic. And the other thing too, I'll say, like the Aces a couple weeks ago, I was ready to write them off. Now they're starting to look like a team that's ready to make another run at a championship. So, and obviously Aja Wilson is the leader of that pack, but no, Rich, she's just phenomenal. Like when you look at her game, there isn't anything that she can't do. Like she can post you up, she can finish around the rim, she can shoot the 15-footer. I mean, she can just flat out do it all. And she plays both ends as well. So, I mean, there's not enough adjectives to describe how good she is. I mean, she's just absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, she is my favorite player in the WNBA right now. Might not be on my favorite team, but she's still my favorite player. I haven't had really a favorite player since Maya Moore left, and she left young. So it's refreshing to see a two-way player who plays like that. She's a big. She's not the one bringing the ball up and down. So the fact that she's the first to score 1,000 points from the post to me is incredible. Like Jay said, her defense is incredible. There's nobody better than Aja Wilson in the WNBA right now. This is her league. This is not Caitlin Clark's league. This is not Angel Reese's league. This is not whoever else's league. This is Aja Wilson's league right now. And she's just purely Jay. It's just like the Warriors just a few years ago when we thought they were done and out. And here comes that well-oiled machine, like K-Walk said. They're like this well-oiled machine, and they ended up winning the championship that year. So don't doubt the Aces. They've been there before. They've been there quite a few times before, so they know what it takes. And I think we said this earlier in the season. They may be a little sluggish or looking slow, but I think they're just doing enough to get into the playoffs. And once they get into the playoffs, then they're going to ramp it up because now they've been there, done that. They know what it takes to win that championship. But K-Walk, what's your thoughts on Aja Wilson and getting 1,000 points?
Yeah, first and foremost, just congratulations to her, and then to the announcement of the rumor. I hope the rumor is true that she's dating my man Bam Adebayo. I mean, that's a heck of a deal right there. Our next power couple, if you will.
They got some athletic kids, tall athletic kids.
Seriously, but yeah, I mean, I'm surprised that this record has actually been broken. With all of the great players that we've had, before her, who laid the foundation, if you will, hasn't done this. So for her to do something like this is just hats off. I mean, I've said it, that she is the best player in the WNBA by far. There's no question, and like Jay mentioned, on both ends of the court. But you said she's not. She's the face of the NBA. A lot of people will differ. I know we had this conversation.
I said she's my face. I changed to my face.
Oh, your face. Oh, okay.
My face of the NBA.
All right. Well, the face of the NBA, and with my argument, was Caitlin Clark, and she also passed she also set a milestone as well by scoring, I think, 700 something points.
Most points ever by a rookie.
By a rookie, yeah. So she had that, but going back to the Asia, just keeping the focus on Asia. Yeah, I mean, just outstanding, well deserved, and I think she'll do it again. She stays healthy. And I think we'll see multiple times that she'll continue to beat, she'll beat her own record. I think she has 2 more games for her to extend their record, if I'm not mistaken. And then next year, I think she'll go out there and do it again. Now, as far as Britt, as her being, the Aces, going in and getting the playoffs and making some noise, they may make some noise until they meet my Liberty. I thought it was our Liberty, Britt, but
it is our Liberty.
Okay.
Don't get it twisted. Just because I say Aja Wilson is my favorite player.
No,
Liberty
you said something about
my team.
Okay, I thought you said something about the Aces too. They get in.
No, I said that they're like the Warriors, the well-oiled machine. They do enough to get to the playoffs, but I think you still have to be mindful of them. Didn't we lose to them last year? That's what we lost to last year.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
We got to be careful. They've been there. They won. They were back to back.
Yeah, they're back to back. They're going for the 3-peat.
They're back to back, right? They're going for the 3-peat, and we got to stop them.
And they're the 4 seed, so they're going to have to play the Liberty in the second round. Like it's not even going to be like so. They're going to play in the second round if obviously if they both advance. So.
Stewie Jones, your last name is Jones too. I'm talking to y'all directly. Y'all better get it together. I don't want to see what happened last year. Now
they're tuning up against the Mystics right now. They're about like 20 right now, so they're good to go. I got that game on right now. So just go. I'm sorry, Jay.
No, go ahead, Walt.
No, I was just going to say, just finish up with Aja. Just hats off to her, and well deserved. And I know she's going to continue as long as she stays healthy. She's going to continue to create more milestones going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think what people have to realize is it could be a possibility. The reason why previous players in the past may not have gotten to 1,000. First of all, they only play a certain amount of games.
Yeah.
Less than 50. So it's very condensed schedule. And then it's hard to score. It's not easy to score in the.
Did she miss any games this year?
The WNBA.
Yeah, she had. Remember that she had a boot on her ankle not too long ago. I know she missed at least one. I don't know if she missed multiple, but I know she missed at least one. Yeah.
So 1, no load management, and 2, she did it with not playing all game, every game. So that's even more.
Exactly. So, but congratulations to you, Aja Wilson. I do not hope that you win the championship. I'm gonna be completely honest. You have enough. I want my Liberty to win, but I know you're the MVP, and you better win an MVP because if not, I will create an uproar like the CC fans do. Although CC has lost some fans for whatever reason, she has lost some. I don't know why.
Should be unanimous. It should better be unanimous.
She's still a talented player. Absolutely. It better be unanimous. All right, let's move on because we only got a couple minutes. I got to get into this NFL, a couple of the games for the NFL prediction. Jay, I know it's almost your time to go to bed. So bear with me. Bear with me. Yes, I'm calling you out. Bear with me.
I might stay up tonight and watch the Aces game, but we'll see. We'll see.
All right, good. So I got a couple more minutes to go. First game, Ravens Cowboys. Ravens at Cowboys Sunday. What's your prediction? This is going to be a tough game for both teams, I believe, based off what they look like the first 2 weeks. K-Walk, I'm going to come to you first. What's your prediction for this game?
Yeah, I'm just trying to pull up the schedule. Well, are they in AT&T or are they in?
They're in Dallas.
They're in Dallas. Well, obviously that doesn't matter after last week, but yeah, these are two teams that desperately need a win, and I know the Cowboys have a win right now under their belt, but I think after losing the way in the fashion that they did, I think they desperately need a win, especially being back at home. We talked about what Lamar needs in that Ravens team. This is going to be an excellent game to be to watch, ladies and gentlemen. If you have it, watch it. I mean, just stay tuned because this is going to be a really, really good one. It's going to be a close one. I think I think the Cowboys go. I think they lose 2 in a row. I think it's time for Lamar Demetrius Jackson to get the naysayers off his back, get that monkey off his back, if you will, saying that he can't win the big game or what have you. I think if he goes 0-2 and then wins this game in Dallas, I think a lot of people are going to say, well, this is the Lamar Jackson that we were expecting to see coming off the MVP type season. And Dak Prescott, we're still going to continue to talk. Is he a $60 million guy? So I'm going the Ravens in this one. I'm going to go 26-22 Ravens.
K-Walk, I may be with you on this one. I'm still concerned about the defense of Dallas as what they did in the run game. I'm just not sure about Dallas yet. You know, first game they did okay. Second game didn't look that great whatsoever. I need to see more. You know, again, they have until about week 4, week 5 for us to understand what their identity is, what type of team they're going to be. So, but all in all, to be honest with you, I just think Ravens are more desperate. They don't have a win yet, and to go down 0-3, that would not be good to start the season. So I think Ravens should be the more desperate team. Again, you don't want to go down 1-2 as a team, but you're more likely to turn things around after going 1-2 than you are 0-3. When you're going 0-3, making the playoffs is going to be pretty tight. So I'm going to go with the Ravens just because of that. You better utilize Derrick Henry the best you can with his big self and go right towards Michael Parsons if you can. I don't know if that's going to work, but we're going to see what happens because Dallas is going to understand the Ravens game plan. But I'm going to go with Ravens. I think it's also going to be a close one. I'm going to say 24-20 Ravens. Jay, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I just think another good football team Dallas has to play. I don't think they're going to be able to match the physicality of Baltimore in the run game. And I think the Cowboys are in trouble. And to your point, Britt, the Ravens cannot afford to lose this game. Since 1979, only 6 teams have made the playoffs that started 0-3. They just can't afford to be 0-3. They just have too many high hopes for the season. So they're going to play in desperation mode. I think they're going to beat the Cowboys. I'll say 28-20 Ravens.
Next game, Eagles at Saints. Boy, I'll start off on this one. I don't know. I don't know. If that defense looks anything how it did this past weekend, the Saints is going to take this by far. The way the Saints have been clicking on both sides of the football, especially on the offensive side, Alvin Kamara is going to carve up this defense like a Thanksgiving Day turkey, I swear, and make this the Thanksgiving Day game versus the actual Thanksgiving. So I need my Georgia boys, Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter, Nakobe Dean, Nolan Smith, stop acting like puppies. You know how they nibble and think they big and tough, but they just nibbling on you, don't do anything. I need y'all to get into that big bark now. Stop with the puppy bark. I need the big bark because Alvin Kamara is not playing. Derek Carr is not playing. This is going to be a tough game. I have to go with my Eagles, unfortunately. I have to go with my Eagles. So I'm going to pick them. But reality, I think the Saints win this game. I think we go down 1-2.
So who are you picking, Britt?
I think we go 1-2. But K-Walk always says, don't go against my team. So
okay.
My reality is I think the Saints win this game, right?
Okay.
And I think they're going to win it significantly if the defense plays the way they have.
Okay.
I'm going to say 27-21.
Okay.
But I'm going to pick the Eagles, and I'm going to say 24-21.
Okay.
She put herself in a no-lose situation.
Right.
I did.
I told you I got it right.
Right. Jay, what's your thoughts on this?
Okay, so look, I look, if this game was in Philly, maybe I'd feel a little bit differently, but I just think New Orleans is so confident right now. They are clicking on all cylinders. K-Walk pointed out the connection earlier in the show between their offensive coordinator and that Shanahan coaching tree. I just don't. I think at home the Saints win, and I think they're going to score a lot of points. So I like the Saints 34-17.
Oh, you got disrespectful with it. Wow. Well, last time he did that, the other team won. So I'm cool with
so
it.
maybe I'll be wrong.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at, like, I have to agree with Jay. When you look at these teams and you see how they started the first two games of the season, you have to look at the Saints and say the Saints are a different type of team. They have all of the pieces in place. They just
Mhm.
needed someone to be that. They had all of the chess pieces in place. They just had to have the right person to put those, strategically put those pieces in place, if you will. Um, the Eagles may be still down on themselves, but the way they lost that game, I mean, I know they want to come back and redeem themselves, but I'm going to go with the Saints. I don't like high scores in the NFL because I really think that defenses, in the NFL are hard to score on, regardless of how bad they are. But I will take the Saints in this one. I'm going to take the Saints 21. No, not 21. Excuse me, 28. I'm going to the Eagles. I think the Eagles, what they scored last night. What they scored last night.
21.
21.
21.
21
They
last
should have
I'll
night.
go.
scored more,
I'll go
but 21.
28-20. I'll go 28-20. I think they win by more than the touchdown. So yeah,
You
I'll
know what?
give
I'm changing.
Saints 28-20.
I'm changing my score. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go. What I say? Who did I take? I took both teams, didn't I?
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
said Eagles win. If Eagles win, I'm gonna go 30 because I feel like you're gonna have to score more than 30 to beat the
Yeah, you're
Saints.
going to score
I'm
a
gonna
lot.
go 30. I'm gonna go 34-28 Eagles. If they lose, I'm gonna go 28-24 Saints. Um, that's what I'm saying, and I'm sticking to it.
All
I
right.
wish y'all would challenge me. Who's watching? All right, next game because we gotta go. I know Jay's low key trying to rush me off this thing. Um,
He said.
uh 49ers at Rams. Yeah, I gotta talk about our teams. 49ers at Rams. Rams are 0-2, I believe. Did they
0-2,
win
yeah.
the game? I
They're
think
on.
they are 0-2. 49ers are 1-1. Jay, what are your
Yeah.
thoughts? Who do you have winning?
The Rams have a knack for trying to play the 49ers tough in past years, but I just think this is a bounce back week for San Francisco. I know Debo's going to be out.
Mhm.
Obviously, McCaffrey's still out. Brandon Ayuk just got that contract. It's time for him to step up and make some
Yeah, for
plays.
sure.
It's the perfect week to do that. I think the 49ers win. It'll be close because, you can't just lose a bunch of good offensive players and think that everything's just going to be like it was. So I think it'll be close, but I'm going to take the 49ers 24-20.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting about this game because I think Jay just alluded to it. They're missing CMC, they're missing Debo Samuel, which is crucial to their team. But they have Brandon Ayuk. They still have Jennings over there, who I like. Trent Williams is healthy, and they have Mason right now. So this is going to be a tough one. I'm gonna go with the Niners too. But I just think the Rams are missing a lot of people. They're missing their two main guys, Puka. I call him Pokemon, but Puka Nakua and Cooper Cup. So I think I'm with Jay. I do think this is also gonna be a close one. I'm gonna say 21-17. K-Walk, this is your team. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'll keep it real quick, guys. Believe that you can believe it or not. Yeah, I'm going to go with the Niners, man. I'm going to go with the Niners in this one because everything you mentioned, Brett, as far as them not having Cup and them not having Puka. I know 49ers don't have CMC and they don't have Debo, but I think these guys step up. I think Jennings steps up this week. Ayuk gets back into form, and some of the rookies, Cowing as well, steps up. I think that defense is going to put pressure on Sam Darnold, and they get after the quarterback and they run the ball heavily. And that SoFi Stadium is going to be filled with a bunch of 49er fans. So it's going to be the Levi Stadium of the South, if you will. So I'm going to give the 49ers 27-17 here. Actually, 27-14. I'm going 27-14 49ers.
Nice. All right, Dolphins at Seahawks. Predictions. Tua is out. He has been put on IR, so he is out at least 4 weeks. I've heard they're trying to keep him out the entire season, but we will see how that works because he says he wants to come back and play. I wouldn't advise it, but it's ultimately his choice. K-Walk, your thoughts and prediction.
Yeah, this game is being played in Seattle, the 12th man, as they like to call themselves. They're playing sneaky good football right now, as they always do. I think I'm referring to the Seahawks. Geno Smith, DK Metcalf. I'm not sure if Kenneth Walker II is going to be if he's going to be available. I know he was out last week, so let's see what they have because that's going to be crucial. But if you don't have Tua, I don't think you have a chance in this game. To be honest with you, they're going to go with Skylar Thompson is their backup. In that environment, it's going to be hard for them. I'm going to take Seattle here. I'm going to take Seattle, a low-scoring game. I think it's 20-14 Seahawks.
K-Walk, I'm with you on this one. I don't know where they're at without Tua. Skyler, he didn't look that great. Hopefully practice helps. I'm not sure how much time
Right,
they
exactly.
really have to get that chemistry with the your two receivers here.
I think
I'm
they
sorry,
brought
yeah, your two
somebody else in
receivers.
too.
Oh yeah, they did. Was it Hunt? Is it
Yeah,
Hunt?
it's
Huntley?
No,
Was his
Kareem
name
Hunt went
Huntley?
Huntley,
yeah,
yes,
it's
Huntley.
Tyler
from the
Huntley.
Huntley.
Ravens.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Tyler
Yeah,
Huntley.
Huntley. So, I mean, we'll see how that works. I do like them bringing in Huntley. He has more experience from being with, I believe, the Ravens
The
for a long
Ravens, yeah.
time.
Mhm.
It's like the Dolphins have a better team. I'm just not sure where they're at this week. So I'm going to go with the Seahawks. I do think they go 3-0. I think it's going to be a close one. I'm going to say 24-20. Jay?
Yeah, I like the Seahawks as well. I just think too much going on with the Dolphins right now. I'm gonna take the Seahawks 23-14.
And last game before we close out, I know there's a whole bunch more, guys. If we have time this week, we'll try to maybe do our pick'ems in the short for you guys. We'll just run through
Yeah.
60 seconds and pick them out. But last game that we're going to do right now, Texans at Vikings. I believe both teams are 2-0, so they're both undefeated. Undefeated. Who will get their first loss this week? Because we not ending in no ties. At least we hope not. Jay, who do you have? Your thoughts on this game and your prediction?
I know I told Simply Ball Drop it. I was going to take another look at the Vikings, and I am because I haven't really watched them, and he brought up a lot of great points about that team. So I do need to take them a little bit more seriously, but I'm taking the Texans this weekend. I love what D'Amico Ryans is doing with this team. I think he is a heck of a young coach. I love his offensive coordinator. CJ Stroud has obviously been fantastic in his short time in the NFL. I just really like this team. So I'm going to take the Texans. I think it's going to be a good, tough, hard-nosed football game, but give me the Texans 24-21.
Yeah, I think I'm with you, Jay. Look, I like the Vikings. I love Justin Jefferson. I like what they did the first 2 weeks. But again, it's the first 2 weeks. I'm not about to jump on anybody's bandwagon after the first 2 weeks just yet. Yes, I love Brian Flores and what he has done. But I need to see more. I need to know if it's something that's consistent throughout over the course of the season. But going against D'Amico Ryan, CJ Stroud, that's tough. And D'Amico's going to have that defense ready to go and ready to attack Sam Darnold. And I love what CJ Stroud does, but he also has to be prepared, understand he's going up against the coordinator that's going to blitz a whole lot. But I think he has some great receivers. Stephon Diggs has been tearing it up. He looks like the old Stephon Diggs. Nico Collins, fantastic. I didn't realize how big he was. Tank Dell is always so reliable. And Joe Mixon, that's an incredible fit over there. That was an incredible fit. I still think the Bengals are nuts for letting him go. I'm going with the Texans. Let me shorten this up. I'm gonna say 27-20. Okay, Walk, your thoughts.
Yeah, I like this game. It's another game that I'm going to be tuned into as well because I want to see how real the Vikings are. I mean, I still don't think that they're, they have Sam Darnold. I know that he was a 49er last year, and he showed good signs. He showed signs, and he credits his time with the 49ers of being a better quarterback, especially from a preparation standpoint. But Brian Flores and CJ Stroud, it's going to be a cat and mouse game. You mentioned all of the weapons, Britt, on that side of the ball. I think that the Vikings just don't have enough on offense. I think it's going to be a close game, but I'm going Texans here, 17-10 Texans.
All right, guys. So there's the short version of our NFL Week 3 predictions. I don't know if we have time for who's balling. Probably not. But I can tell you one thing: the Eagles' defense wasn't balling. That's what I will tell you. Yes, I will take shots.
Just give it to the Saints. Just give it to the Saints.
I will take shots at my own team because I love them and I can do that. But I don't need y'all to do it for me. But we'll get back to who's balling next week. Again, please subscribe, like, comment to our YouTube channel at The Sideline Speaks. We greatly appreciate your support. Share is all I can ask for. We're also on Twitter, on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Sideline Speaks, anywhere you can listen to your podcast. Jay, I'm gonna start with you first. Please tell them what you're looking forward to and how they can find you.
You can find me at Jason Talk Sports on all social media platforms. Just looking forward to the weekend, guys. I got fall break next week, so I'll be off from work all next week. So this weekend, I'm going to watch as much football as I can. I'll be staying up late, just doing all the things I want to do next week. So I'm just looking forward to all the sports. WNBA playoffs start Sunday,
Yes.
so I'm going to be locked in on that as well.
Yeah, I'm gonna go first, I guess, before K-Walk. I'm looking forward to Red October is almost here, guys. This is when I get most excited about baseball. I'm getting excited. Red October is here. It's in a couple of weeks. If you don't know, it's baseball playoff time. Yes, Jay, go Phillies. I'm excited. I want to see what these Eagles do on Sunday. I'm nervous, but I'm glad it's back to a 1:00 game. I'm done with them primetime games, please, for a while. And of course, WNBA playoffs, I'm excited about as well. I'm really ramped up about the WNBA playoffs. And you can find me on IG and X, for me know as Twitter, at Brittany Monique is at the bottom of the screen. I'm also on TikTok as well. K-Walk, please let them know where they can find you and what you're most looking forward to.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to everything you guys just mentioned, so I'm not going to mention all that. But you can find me on Facebook, Kevin Walker, on Twitter, I'm sorry, I apologize, on X, the artist formerly known as Twitter, Kevin Walker, Kevin Walker 142, Instagram, Kevin.Walker142, and tomorrow night, you can catch me on Sports Talk with K Walk and E. Scott. Never had it so good. Sports Radio, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. or whenever we finish, ladies and gentlemen. Last week we went into extra overtime, but nonetheless, check us out wherever you get your podcast. Sports Talk, K Walk, E. Scott. Never had so good. Sports Radio. What I'm looking forward to most. Shout out to my man Ty Walker, my son, turning 21 on Saturday.
Oh, nice.
Good gracious. So I'm looking forward to celebrating his 21st birthday this weekend, ladies and gentlemen. So
do we do shots on the 21st birthday, or you
man,
dad? You like, nah,
I'm not. I'm too old for that. I'll have to play with it, but I ain't doing shots. I can't do shots. I'm too old for
that. I don't know what this message is, guys, but it's from Coach Riley. Coach, please get better. We know you had a procedure recently. Please get better. We're praying for your speedy recovery. So I hope you're doing well. And hope to have you on the show soon. Coach maybe you guys understand this. I don't understand it. So hopefully you guys understand this.
Coach, I can't stand
Coach is just wild, man.
Love you, Coach. Love you, Coach.
You can always count on Coach to say something wild. That's for sure.
Hey, Coach. Hey, it's time to put the nail in the coffin. Inside joke there, ladies and gentlemen.
And then I'm going to... DMJ Brooks said, "Hi guys, that's my mama. For those who don't know, hi mommy. Thank you.
Long time, mom. Where you been at?
Right, that's what I said. She hasn't been watching this in a while. I don't like that. I don't like that, mom. But let me not say too much because she's still my mom. But all right, guys. So before we leave, again, please subscribe, like, and share our YouTube channel. We would greatly appreciate the support. Guys, I just want to say one thing. It is political time. I'm not going to get all involved in the politics or anything with you guys right now. Do your own research. Don't always listen to things that's out there on social media because propaganda and falsifying information is real. Just do your own research. Everybody has, for the most part, has internet. It's very simple. Make your own decisions, your own wise decision. But in the process of this political environment right now, you may disagree with somebody else, but just have an understanding. It's okay if somebody wants to vote for this person. It's okay if somebody wants to vote for that person. But it's never okay to hate somebody for a difference of opinions. So let's continue to love each other and have an understanding. All right, guys.
And
vote. Yes. And vote and vote and vote. And we will preach that over the course of the next couple of months, every week that we are on until voting day. I think it's November 5th. I don't know, whatever that Tuesday is. We always know it's on the Tuesday in November. So go out and vote. Use your voice is very, very important. And stop thinking that you don't have a voice because you do. That irritates me. You have a voice, so utilize it. But we will see you guys next week. Thank you. See you later. Go Eagles. Don't go Cowboys. And don't go 49ers. No disrespect. See you guys.